A battle group is a combined arms team.
The collection of component parts that together is able to respond to a series of threats.
Instead of just having one type of element, for example, infantry units or artillery units, a battle group is a mixture of those various combat arms.
What we provide here is a really potent force that is able to not only deter but then defeat an aggressor.
In 2014, Russia violated Ukrainian sovereign territory by aggressively and illegally annexing the Crimean Peninsula. Allies responded by strengthening their defences. And then at the NATO summit in Warsaw in 2016, they announced the deployment of 4 battalions to the eastern part of the alliance.
These battalions will be robust and they will be multinational. And they make clear that an attack on one ally would be considered an attack on the whole alliance.
Those battalions, known as NATO's multinational battle groups, were deployed in each of the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, and also in Poland.
Estonia sits as the most northern Baltic country in a very sort of strategic region, and if you look at Tallinn, opposite Helsinki, it's the gateway to the Gulf of Finland and therefore into St. Petersburg. So just where Estonia sits in itself is of importance, and that's why there is that onus on making sure that we've got the right defensive capabilities, not just in Estonia but within the Baltics.
By 2017, all 4 multinational battle groups were in place, installed primarily as a deterrence measure, but also combat ready and deployable at short notice if required.
Our first priority is always readiness. So when we get here, we put the team together and we make sure that all elements of the battle group are ready to go out the door if required. Obviously, our principal mission is deterrence, and we do that by our presence here, consistent training, but we always have to be ready to accomplish that defend part of the mission, which is really our readiness and ability to project our forces as required.
Each battle group has a lead nation. In Estonia, that's the United Kingdom. In Latvia, Canada. In Lithuania, Germany. And in Poland, the United States, which are then supplemented by a number of contributing nations, each of which provide their own set of skills and capabilities.
Within our command post, all 9 nations are represented. All 9 nations are represented within each of the subunits, each country providing different capacities to the battle group.
And each of the contributing nations brings forward a component that adds to the defensive posture of that battle group. So we really are the sum of all the parts, and that's what we draw our strength from, and all the strengths and capabilities that those nations offer.
It's one of the most rewarding missions you can have as an army, an armed force. I believe it's an amazing concept when you bring all the countries together under one unified command structure, and everyone has a singular purpose.
Being NATO allies, we have a lot of common tactics, techniques, procedures, and whatever is not common, we're able to sort out relatively quickly once we get on the ground.
And while the battle groups are primarily land-focused, they work with other regional NATO assets to ensure the alliance is also protected at sea and in the skies.
We work very closely with NATO's maritime assets in the Baltic region, and likewise with the air assets that support us here, whether that be through the Baltic Air Police or air capabilities coming in from the broader alliance into the region.
On February the 24th, 2022, the security landscape in Europe was shattered as Russian forces conducted an unprovoked, brutal invasion of Ukraine. For the battle groups, that meant a status of high alert.
So the events starting in February 24th have obviously brought additional focus to our mission. We see that the threat is real, and we see the conflict in Ukraine playing out as it is now. So our soldiers come with a renewed focus to maintain readiness and definitely be ready at all times.
We're constantly varying the geometry of the battle group to make sure that we've got those capabilities that are relevant and current and able to defend not just Estonia but the wider region.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine also prompted NATO to deploy 4 more battle groups in Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania and Slovakia.
So we have 8 multinational NATO battle groups from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea.
You're expanding upon that current footprint. So now instead of having it just in the north, east of the NATO region, now you're spreading it all the way down to the southeast. I mean, you're creating that barrier, if you will, against any aggression all the way through the region.
Having these multinational battle groups in place, ready to go right now, sends a message that we're here, we're ready, and that we can respond to any aggression as it would happen.
The fact that we're able to work so effortlessly and seamlessly together and able to integrate is a clear demonstration of the cohesive nature of the alliance and the unity that we have. And that underscores our collective defence of us being able to work together. And it underpins Article 5 in that you have a unified and collective response to a threat against a single member.
Just subscribed for 7 months.
For Denmark, the sea is first and last, because the sea is forever at her door. When the ice of the Ice Age retreated, the land rose out of the sea, and wind and water shaped its coastline. For the Danes, the sea has always been their doorway to the world, the doorway for those on Viking raids, or more peaceful errands. Nature formed this land, but nature has not been kind to Denmark. No fuel, no water power, few natural resources. The sea brings mild winters and plentiful rain, but the soil itself is by nature far from fertile, and the country rests upon a mattress of chalk. Such is Denmark in Europe. But part of Denmark lies far out in the Atlantic, the islands known as the Faroes. Further out still is that other Denmark, which is the great plateau of rock and ice called Greenland. But there in Europe, close to neighboring Norway and Sweden, is the Danish homeland. Some 500 green and friendly islands, and the long peninsula of Jutland. Here on the western shores of Denmark, the weather is bleak and conditions hard. But battling against these difficulties are a people stubborn and enduring. People who still live from day to day that simple and frugal life in which the Danish nation has the very roots of its being. Further to the east, nature is kinder and the soil more fertile. Here, life is easier, and in its beauty, the country reflects its well-being. If a community made up of 500 islands is to know unity, it must have good communications. Bridges and more bridges. Ferries and more ferries linking islands large and small. The waters around the Danish islands are alive with ferry boats, some large enough only for a few people and their farm produce, others capable of taking the heaviest forms of transport. Even over the widest expanses of water, where the voyage may last several hours, cars and trucks are ferried. So that with the passage of time, each Danish harbor has become a hub for roads reaching out to every inland town and village. Towns old and beautiful, where life flows at a gentle pace all its own. But towns where market day is like anywhere in the world the climax of the week. A day of get-together for talk and trade. And whether you come by road or by water, you are still a neighbor. For most of the cities of Denmark have grown up around the water. Out of a total of 85 Danish market towns, more than 70 have harbors. Aalborg and Frederikshavn, Svendborg, Horsens, Esbjerg, and Korsør, and each is a center of communication. But as in any country in the world, all roads lead eventually to the capital. So the greater part of the train, road, and ferry traffic moves toward the largest of Denmark's homeland islands, one linked with the south by the Storstrøms Bridge, the longest in Europe. A bridge taking lorries and trains side by side. Traffic with but one destination, Copenhagen.
Ayo, Copenhagen.
Out of a total population of 4 million Danes,
Nice.
a million
Hey, yeah,
live in
how are you
Copenhagen.
doing? Hello, 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 hello,
The city
hello,
has
hello.
grown disproportionately large,
Copenhagen.
and vital imports of raw materials put
Hallo,
great
ich
strain
komme
on
aus
harbor space
Copenhagen.
and dockside wharves.
My favorite hobby is Cop.
The oldest part of Copenhagen lies on a few small islands, so that the sea penetrates into the very heart of the city,
It penetrates.
bringing to the streets and busy squares
The sea
the swoop of
penetrates very
gulls
deep.
and the tang of salt water.
Oh, what do we... Navalny? Am I seeing something about Navalny there? Is there something about Navalny? Hey, I have the
Even
shirt
king's
because
residence lies in sight of the busy port
we got a
and
sub.
its teeming life.
and I was trying to do the thing which with like for every new sub I get one more piece of Croatian merch on myself.
The home of Denmark's parliament.
So this is like the
A
first
building
part
for whose
today
construction
because I was
each
feeling
parish in the
particularly
country
lazy.
sent a stone. On
Let me see what
special
we have.
occasion,
Let me see what we have, by the way. What's... Nice Serbian flag. Nice Serbian flag. Where? Where? How dare you? Nice Serbian... What happened to Navalny? Oh, is this the woman? Is this the woman? What's her name? Pretty sure I called her a piece of shit on Twitter. What's her name? What's her name? What's her name? Something with P. Pevchik. Masha. Maria Pevchik. Masha. Fucking Masha. Masha's an idiot, by the way. Masha's a fucking idiot. Masha wrote a letter to 3 Baltic states. Not Masha herself, of course. It was the Navalny Foundation. But, you know, same trash. They wrote a letter to the 3 Baltic states to be like, hey guys, don't ban Russian cars. And in the letter, my favorite part of the letter is when they introduce themselves as like the Navalny Foundation, and they say they are fighting against the war by organizing mass protests. I've seen several people so far ask her, hey Maria, would you like to provide us with evidence of a single mass protest you pieces of shit did? And Maria answered 0 times to the request. So I'm guessing it ain't really going on. I've got some though, how to say this? I've got some strong feelings of this. But some strong feelings of this thing. The Baltics have banned the Russian cars because European Union has banned Russian vehicles. Baltics have just agreed with the decision made by the European Union. They didn't have to enforce it, but they chose to enforce it because European Union made the decision, and you wanna, you know, keep your foreign policy constant, and also because it protects your states. I strongly believe the reason why Maria wrote a letter specifically to each Baltic. By the way, fun thing, when she wrote a letter, one of the flex points that they did when they published the letter on Twitter, so, you know, people could be looking at it and going, wow, Russian opposition really does exist. One of the points that she brought up was that, oh, surprise, they wrote the letter in each of the official languages of these countries. As if that's, like, supposed to get us going, wow. But here's my position, okay? First off, the reason why she wrote it specifically towards these states and not towards European Union is because Maria, just like Navalny, is a Russian imperialist. They all fucking are. She wouldn't write it to European Union because she knows European Union is gonna look at it and spit in her useless face. But, your colonies have to fucking listen to you because you're their boss. So she goes and she tries to boss them around because in her mind, her words have some sort of a value just because she is Russian. I legit see no other reason for her to single out the Baltics and not bitch about anyone else banning Russian cars. This is just her being like, yeah, guys, remember when we used to rule over you? Come on, let's go back. Another thing, though, that I have a problem with is that I think it became rather obvious that she is doing this for Russians, for the Russian audience, and not really for anyone else. They're doing this for Russian audiences. They know exactly what they're doing. By contacting the Baltics as the previous colonies, they know exactly what they're doing. By bitching about Russian cars being blocked in Baltics, they know exactly what they're doing, okay? Maria knows what she's doing, and what Maria is doing is making sure that after Putin goes down, Maria has a job. She's going to be able to stay in Russia. She's going to have a list of people who support her because they genuinely think she's doing something. They got rid of all companies still operating in Russia. Today I went there. What did I see in Mars? Pepsi. Oh shit, Pepsi. Ooh, I got a person today in the store asking me about Podravka, which is like one of our companies that pulled out of Russia. They asked me specifically if we hold the brand, and I was like, yeah, of course we do. And then I was like, no chance they want to buy, because like I've been buying shit from Podravka almost exclusively ever since they pulled out of Russia. When it comes to like Croatian brands, because for most Croatian brands it's almost impossible to figure out if they work in Russia or not, because they're like part of bigger brands, and then bigger brands are part of a bigger brand, and then you like end up googling millions of different shits, and most often they gave no statements So you can't, like, I scanned the barcode and the barcode shows me nothing because they don't know where the company is operating. But Podravka is one of those companies that actually did pull out of Russia, and they very openly did it. So I've been buying them almost exclusively. And I asked the customer, I was like, why Podravka? And they were like, I just read about them on the news. I read that they kind of pulled out of Russia, and I thought it would be cool to, you know, switch to buying stuff from them. And I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. So I was very proud. I was very, very, very proud today. Also, how they asked if we have it, as if it's some niche brand. That was the weirdest thing. Like, it's one of the biggest brands we have, my dude. Wake me up when local Russians are not allowed to vote. That too. Maria actually, as much as I despise Navalny team, she brings up some good points over the fact that a lot of Russians are still allowed in Europe, still staying in European countries. There's a lot of Russian assets we still have operating around. And I agree with that. I agree that there's a big problem. I actually have the new Vatnik sub saved. So there is a big problem with how many Russian assets we got around, and we definitely should be focusing more of them. I do agree with that. I also, though, to be honest, I agree with banning Russian cars just because it pisses them off. I know that, like, rationally, there's a part of me which is like, okay, you know, what if some Dagestanis want to escape and they have a Russian car and it's taken away from them at the border? But at the same time, you know what I'm chill with? I'm chill with the idea of just, like, taking these cars, and then if some of them are good enough, handing them over to Ukraine, straight up. I feel like in that situation, like, no matter which republic you are from, you know, it's GG. Vanilla Kunis. Oh, that actually sounds good. I want to get it for the name. Paulaner Spezi. Oh, wait, what's Coca-Cola doing? I've never checked Coca-Cola. What's Coca-Cola doing? We don't even get Coca-Cola. It's quite expensive here, so part of me is hoping that they are bitches, so I can have one more reason to not feel bad about not buying them. Oh, I'm not actually seeing anything on Coca-Cola. Well, that sucks. Oh no, Coca-Cola is working with Russia. Coca-Cola is working with Russia. I found it. Found it. Like, part of the update says that they stopped working in Russia, part of the update says that they are still working in Russia but renamed, and another part of the update says that they stopped all new shipments to Russia. So who the fuck knows? 11.1% alcohol, nice. Oh, nice, impressive. Oh. Baltic countries were early backers of a special tribunal on Russian aggression, along with Victoria Melina, Ban Ki-moon, and Ben Ferenc. Man, Victoria was such a great woman, holy shit.
Ukrainian writer and war crimes researcher Victoria Amelina, who's died after she was injured in the Russian missile attack on a restaurant in Kremenchuk.
You don't remember following this? This was heartbreaking.
My name is Benjamin Ferenc. I am the last surviving Nuremberg war crimes prosecutor.
The last surviving prosecutor from the Nuremberg trials has called for the establishment of a tribunal to hold Russian leaders accountable for war crimes in Ukraine.
Certainly, enforce the existing law to state the principle that you may not commit aggression. It's stupid not to. Aggression is the basic punishable crime.
We must transform
that was heartbreaking.
The experience of the Nuremberg process into an operating rule. When there is a tradition of inevitable punishment of aggression, then there will be a tradition of guaranteed non-repetition of aggression. We insist on the tribunal creation. It's exactly what we need now.
Wait, stupid question, but why?
Conversations about holding Russia accountable for waging an unprovoked war are gaining steam.
Russia's illegal war on Ukraine.
I haven't gone to renew my passport since
This is why the world needs to establish a special
2010?
tribunal for the crime of aggression in Ukraine.
The international community has again and again
You just got me
proven
thinking about passports.
that it can be
Why do you?
brave and innovative
Where
in
the hell is
addressing
your friends traveling?
existential
Like outside of
issues.
European Union, right?
Latvia and its allies advocate for the creation of the special tribunal
Man.
International community
I have completely
has to find political will and
wiped out the
We must
fact
fully discredit
that, like,
aggression as a tool of state
thank
power.
you. That if I want to go outside of European Union, I'm gonna need my passport. I haven't updated it in such a long time. We didn't have to pay though. It wasn't too expensive. It wasn't 37 euros, but also it was like 20 years ago.
I say never give
15
up.
years ago, who
Never
knows?
give up, never give up.
I was still young. Still had a passion to live for. We don't need passport. Yeah, that's why I've never updated mine. Because the second we switched to only needing the ID, personal ID cards, as a kid we were only going to Slovenia and to Serbia. And like the second we switched to only needing ID cards, I just haven't updated my passport. Like I went to Hungary, but didn't need to update the passport. I went to Germany, but also you can just show the ID card. So I was, man, I completely forgot that like if you go to somewhere outside of European Union, you're gonna need that shit. Completely wiped it out of my mind. I don't even know how like fresh passports look like. They still look the same. You do need an up-to-date one to do some banking shit. Oh, some fancy shit. Your friend some mafioso or something. Then it makes sense. Okay? For us normal folk, we kind of just don't need them. Man, I kind of want to make a passport just to see what it looks like. I'm wondering, do you think we changed the design? I know there were conversations about changing it between the last time I updated and the next time I was supposed to update it, but never did. $5 for making a new international passport in Ukraine back in the 15. $5? Dude. We pay vastly more than that to make the ID every few years. I pay a nice chunk of money to make the fucking ID, and then you can pay like a bit more, and then you get it faster. Shit, though. That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of cash. What Have you seen man's going into politics? Have you seen what our man's doing? Look at this. 2 days ago, he apparently enrolled in the PhD program in political science. Man! How does it work with the EU then? You don't need a passport for European Union. You go with your ID card. I update my ID card regularly. I don't update my passport. Haven't needed a passport in a very, very, very long time. I am actually like thinking about it now. I don't know why we can travel to Serbia with the ID card only. It's not in European Union, but we can still just go there. We switched like very, very quickly, and ever since then we have all been just having the ID cards, and that's that. But yeah, this announcement caused an outburst of humor, where Ukrainians joke that the general will know all the test answers from his spies. He will soon be lecturing graduate students along with a well-known expert, ex-commander of the US forces in Europe, Lieutenant General Ben Hodges. Come on. Take the passport. Never bothered with an internal ID card. Wait, how does it go for Ukraine? Can you go to other countries without, like, what do you need to go to Hungary? A mental problem probably, but like what else? What else can you do with your ID card? Does it give us some fancy shit? I don't know if it gives us some fancy shit, my dude. Last time I was at the police. Let me just Google this shit. Nova osobna karta. There was a list of like fancy shit that the new one is supposed to be doing. Oh, we're getting it. No, this was 221. This is the new generation. This is our ID card. This is specimen. Paper pass. Oh, paper passports. My father, when he went to Germany, he still had the paper driving license. It was like a little book, a little booky thing. And then it was like when you did your exam and everything for driving. And when he went to Germany, Germans looked at it and they were like, was? So he needed to actually get a proper one, like the card one. He gave it to his boss for the first time and the boss was like, which country is this from? And my father goes, Yugoslavia. And the boss is like, isn't that not around anymore? And really it wasn't. It was just like you could still use it in Croatia. You could still have it. We're having lots of generations now who were like grown-ups when Yugoslavia ended, but they still have the Yugoslav driving card, so they now have to replace it because they are grown-ass people and they have to refresh it. But it's such a weird thing. Like the German dude was so surprised. That was kind of cute. Internal and international. I have 2 passports. Oh, whoa, wait. Internal passport? Why do you have an internal passport? What do you need an internal passport? That's an ID? It's also called internal passport? Internal passport makes me feel like I will have to, I want to go to Osijek and I have to give them my passport. I have to give them an ID to allow me into the city. Sounds so Soviet. Yeah, I recently learned that Soviets had internal passports. That was a new thing for me. Like when they say that villagers got passports in Soviet Union, Westerners, when they say it, they mean that people were allowed to travel in and out. No, passports were internal. Most people didn't have it. Some people had it, and mostly you had it controlled, so you couldn't even go wherever you wanted inside your own fucking country that you live in and work for. I don't know. If we stopped importing foreign vegetables and finished products, would our economy be better or worse? I definitely think it would be better. I do think a question is of how much we would lose on exports then. Like, it would be good, how to say this, it would be great if we could improve our own market when it comes to this. There's basically the reason why they're asking Kim is because okay, I don't know if conversations in your part, I don't know which part of Croatia you're from. Conversation here is that we got those, look at me now, the English master herself. Turska. Shh. Shit. Softche? It is. It is. And then you go to Croatian. Okay, I don't know the word, but like we got sugar cane or whatever the fuck, how it's called in English. Shit to make sugar. Shit to make sugar from. Okay, we got that around. And then there's also another shit to make sugar from. There's like 2 types of shits to make sugar from. The thing is that like we export ours, which is the one that makes better sugar. Repa is the other one. Repa, this one. This one. We export the thing used to be making what people call better sugar, because apparently it's a lot stronger than the other one, and then we import shit sugar from other countries because it's cheaper. Now here's the problem though, economically this makes sense. Right? Because you make good product, you sell it to other countries, you get quite a lot of cash money by selling product to other countries, then you import cheap shit from these countries, right? You have earned money on selling shit, and then you have not lost much money on importing new shit. So there's always stuff in the country, but you're kind of doing the max when it comes to how much cash money you want to earn. Now the thing is that doing trade with other countries is really useful to Croatia, of course, but our people are kind of pissed off about the quality of these products. A problem I have with Croats complaining about this, I have problems with Croats overall. I have problems with our people. I think that in our heart of hearts, we are Slovenians. In our heart of hearts, we want to bitch. We just want to bitch about everything. But at the same time, we're not quite as productive as Slovenians are. So we just want to bitch, but we never do anything about it. So I'm having like, in the store that I work in, it's a supermarket basically, right? There's a selection of chips. One of the chips is made in Croatia. It's a bit more expensive than the other chips. And it's not even that more expensive. It's like, I think, 12 cents difference or something. Not too much, right? But you know what Croats do? You know what they do? They buy the foreign cheap shit instead of buying ours. I don't really think that when people in Croatia say, oh, I wish we could just be making our own shit without importing foreign shit, I don't really think that they are up for this. I think they just like to be bitching. It's like when Croats say, oh, there's no jobs in Croatia. But like there are jobs in Croatia. Every single supermarket that I know of in my vicinity is looking for someone to hire. No one wants to work. Because the job is relatively shit, and especially it's shit when compared to the job you could be having in Germany, right? So of course people here just work while they have to, or while they're a student or something, or to get a pension to the end. No one really works this normally, right? But it's quite easy to get a job in Croatia. It's quite easy to get a job in Croatia, my dude. It's just that we like to be bitching and we don't really like to be working. And yeah, that's kind of how I see the whole, chips thing and the whole what you eat thing. I have to be fair, seen people recently asking a bit more about where our product is from, and usually they have a good reaction if it's from European Union, because there's like a little branding thing on products made inside European Union, and people are happy to see them. So I have seen people react good, but it's a tiny amount of people. Most people just want whatever is cheap, and the way to get cheap shit is by importing cheap shit from other countries. Our shit would not really be that cheap, most likely. My father going to Estonia. He returned with a black coffer full of smoked sausages. Oh shit. Oh, that's like my father going to Germany. He has just bags filled with homemade, bacon and sausages and shit. He brings wine, he brings rakia, he brings no clothing. He just brings shit. It's cool. It's like on a smaller scale, that's what he is doing. He takes, when he comes from Germany to here, he brings us German shit. And then when he goes from here to Germany, he brings them our stuff. And our stuff is so much more better, okay? Like, we're getting chocolates and bullshit in exchange for smoked sausages. It's not really a valid exchange. One of those is, you know, a superior snacking choice. You were allowed to travel, but you couldn't move to the neighboring town. That is fucking wild, my man. That was fucking wild to me. When I learned about it first, I genuinely thought I was being trolled. I saw someone make a post on Twitter about it, and they like mentioned on the fact that their grandmother really wanted to go and live somewhere. I don't even remember where it was, but like she wasn't allowed to. And I was like, why? Like what? It was in the Soviet Union. And they were like, oh no, they didn't have internal passport. I was like, what do you mean you didn't have what? The fuck is that shit? Yeah, I do think that our chips are not really cheap, my dude. Our chips are kinda expensive. It is, when it comes to flavor, mostly it is okay, but also it is relatively expensive. So I see why they would be, you know, not really as popular as foreign shit. Sugar beet, yeah. I was bitching about sugar beets and then sugar. Is this, what is this one in English? Truska. Saharum, he goes. Sugarcane, okay, it is sugarcane. See, I knew it was sugarcane. Until 60s or 70s, villages mostly did not have passport. Yeah, that was wild to me. Like, you need a passport inside the country. Inside. You're not leaving. You're staying in. You need a passport for staying in? Just going to another town? Or going to a town in the first place? I don't know. That's just wild to me. Huh, what? Huge agriculture complex in Spain with just miles of tents and a fuck ton of fertilizer and illegal migrants farming the stuff? What, really? No, holy shit. 7,000 boats? What? Like 7,000. 7,000 boats? My mom had to go under some investigation to visit Yugoslavia for work stuff. Oh, I know that our people were very happy when they were allowed to go outside to Germany specifically, because they would buy, I know for women it was like nylon socks, and it was seen almost like a sign of riches if you were able to have those like nylon socks, because in Yugoslavia you could never get them. 7,000 migrants, I see that. 7,000 boats would be impressive. That would, 7,000 migrants, I could see that, You guys were kind of commies those days? Yugoslavs, yeah. Yeah, we had dark parts of our history. What do I tell you? We share a lot of our historical problems, okay? Like, you know, we had commies, you had commies. We had Nazis, you had Nazis. We got invaded by a shithole and then beat their asses, you're on your way. It's like balance in the universe. Lampedusa, oh yeah. They were coming there very often. I remember looking at like... Am I thinking about the proper island? Holy shit. No, show me the map. Because like geographically it's just in an interesting position. Yeah, it was this one. You know, it's like you're kinda you know, you're kinda half the way. So it makes for a convenient stop. We would praise your shit back in the day, of course you would. We were based, okay? We were looking beautiful. We were amazing. Did we even have like a unique style? Plot of land? Police and harvesting wheat. Wait, look at the same time? Is that like one? Yeah, I kind of like the idea of working in police though. I'm a bit too old. I'm 27 now, so I can't really apply to be in the police force. But bro, I kind of feel bad that I didn't go to like police academy or some shit. I don't know. I had a chance to go. That was the worst thing. I had a chance to go. And I was like, is this really a job like for me? And then I've met people who work as police now. And I'm like, bro, it's a job for basically anyone. It's a cool job. Like you feel useful to society, right? And it's not even too dangerous in Croatia. Like you don't, there's no wild shit happening here. It's not like, you know, we're not USA. It's a cool job. It's a cool job. When it comes to harvesting though, I would be careful about agriculture jobs. Because if you want to work agriculture, you gotta be into it, right? If you wanna work anything regarding agriculture, you gotta be really, really, really into it. And I mean really fucking into it, okay? I live in a village, so I live in a village where there's a lot of Hungarians. Hungarians are very business-oriented people when it comes to family businesses. It's a situation where like some of them have not had a free day in years. They do earn a nice sum of money. Okay, they do earn a nice sum of money, but making a living and making a good living out of anything close to agriculture is so fucking hard. It's like farming animal shit. I have a neighbor, she used to be having cows. She recently, finally, she and her husband went into pension, so they sold cows. But she had cows, and we went to coffee at her place one day, and I'll always remember this conversation because she said that she hasn't had a free day ever. Ever. Every single day you need to go tend the cows. Cows don't give a shit, you know, whether you want to like have a free day. Cows don't give a shit about your stupid vacation. A cow doesn't give a shit whether you're having a headache or if you haven't slept well or whatever's going on. Are you sick? A cow doesn't care. Now you gotta wake up very early in the morning. You have to go tend to your animals. This takes hours. Then you go in, you prepare lunch or whatever. Then you gotta go tend to the animals again. It's a whole day work, and it's a whole day work forever. So if you want to get into agriculture, it's a lot of business. It's different if you're having something a bit more seasonal, but then it's also very, very difficult to make a living off it. Like we have vineyards. Vineyards bring you cash money once per year. The rest of the year, it's work, 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 and invest, invest, invest. You can't live off a vineyard. There's no chance you can do something like that, unless you have like either another source of revenue, or like let's say it's a huge one and you can have your own winery or whatever the fuck opened. But if you just want to be working in the field, you can't. It's a good job though, and it's also, there's something homely about the fact that you can just, like, I know people here who do live off that. It's Hungarians who live here. They do live very nice lives. Like they have really good cars, for example. It's like, you know, the rich people around. It's like Hungarians, and they usually have family inherited agriculture businesses. So the fields that they are working on, it's fields that, you know, kids have gotten from their parents. It's a really good thing. It's very homely. It's very stable once you get it up to a certain level. Once you have enough fields, you know that you will be able to survive the year. Even if the harvest is bad, usually it will be enough to survive the year. You know, harvest is bad, but then everyone's harvest is bad because you all experience the same weather patterns. So because everyone's harvest is bad, the prices have gotten a bit higher. So then your shit harvest still brings in a bit more cash money, and you can still survive the year well if you have sufficient amounts of stuff to sell. So it's, you know, it's good work, but it's hard. It's hard as shit. Absolutely difficult. Story of one university teacher. He said I used the excuse to go to relatives' marriage or funeral to run away from village to university and not return. Shit. Oh shit. Niece of mine became a copper in her 30s? What? I wanna get into being a police officer. I wanna go arrest people. Actually, I've read about like Croatian. We had a Croatian dude who was like a expert in criminology, and I think for a while I've gotten really into the idea of like entering college. Sex with Croatian girls, slaves in vineyards. Okay, yeah, that's also true. Farmers back in the day worked just 110 days a year. Oh shit, yeah, it's normal, dude. Or like the idea that they ate more protein than people eat today. Bro, come on, no. That was one of the dumbest things I remember reading. Like, oh yeah, people used to be having so much more time for family. The family was working in the vineyards. When my grandmother talks about like her being young, she was very young when she had her first few children. So she would basically be having to work in the fields, and we're talking manual labor, we're not talking tractors. No one had cash money for tractors at the time. Okay, you had to go and you had to get your hands dirty, and she had to be bringing her kids with her. Like while they were young, she would just put them in a basket and like carry it around, and then when they get a bit bigger, then they follow you, or you know, they help with work if they are big enough. But like that was family time. You wake up very early in the morning, you go work in the fields. In the evenings, you end the work, you go home, sleep, rinse, repeat. That's what farmers were doing. So, no. Oh yeah, no, corruption is definitely horrible. Corruption is definitely horrible in Croatia. Oh, we're horrible when it comes to that. Man, we are shit. I think it's part of our culture though. Also, I'm playing a video in the background and sometimes it plays ads. It's one of those things where you just like automatically play the video, but sometimes he just goes and he like plays an ad. But what did I want to say? I think corruption is a part of our culture, unironically. If you do plant farming, winter is almost workless. But then also you have a thing where capitalism invented child labor. It's the theory of like, if I don't like something, it's to be blamed for everything bad in the world. It's like when people say that you know, world hunger exists because of capitalism or whatever. It's like, you don't like this one thing, so because you don't like this one thing, everything bad happening ever is going to be blamed on this one thing. It isn't even just the fault of, like, to be fair, communists and bitching about capitalism. You see this a lot with people just complaining. Like, you see it a lot, for example, with people who are anti-USA. Whatever happens in the world, they will claim it's America's fault. It doesn't matter what the conversation is. It doesn't matter how it reached a certain point. They will blame it on America. It's a, you know, very interesting little way of looking at the existence. But yeah, when it comes to plant farming, you know what that reminds me of? Our seaside people. Because our seaside people, they do tourism. And because our seaside people do tourism, it's work where you have to be very, very hardworking for, I don't know, 6-7 months of the year. Who the fuck knows? But then for the rest of the year, you do nothing. You do absolutely nothing. And you can live this way if you are efficient enough during the season. So I guess when it comes to farming, you could also, you know, live well if you are efficient enough during the season. It's just very, very hard to be efficient enough. But to be fair, European Union is giving us agriculture cash money. So a reminder for those of you who want to become farmers, get European Union cash funds. Trust me on this. Get European Union cash funds. They are incredibly huge. okay? They help. You will get good fucking equipment for this. Either learn how to write your own European Union project, get someone else to write it for you, get me to write it for you. I am educated in it, okay? I'm still waiting for my fucking certificate, by the way. European Union, please. But get someone to make you European Union project so you get the funds. There's some incredibly impressive pieces of equipment rolling around the village these days because people have gotten funds. So they bought new shit, and new shit is impressive. You would be surprised by how much it actually makes your work easier. Genuinely, it's worth so much. Get someone to write you the projects. Feudals having problems with ecology, house credits, education cost. So feudalism is superior. True, they never had college debt. So you know, I feel like they were quite good. Oh, he went again to Russia. Well, great. Did you see European Union has recommended Lukashenko be also arrested by ICC? It's like with Putin. It's like with Putin. If he goes to like a country which has ratified, is it the Rome Statute? He's gonna be arrested. It still hasn't gone through, but European Union Parliament has recommended it, and I'm quite happy about that. For the pay they're getting for the work, tourism is very easy cash grab. People can pay 40 euros for small pizza and tips 30 euros. Definitely, yeah, definitely. It does require proper quality of service, but it's great work. It's great work. Now the video is not on pause. I played Lukashenko walking just now. What do you mean pause? He was walking. Look at him move. Look at my man move around. Horrible. Horrible. You just pauses it in his brain. Mein Tsar. In addition to yesterday's 300 million submarine, we lost our 1.2 billion anti-aircraft complex today. What is this? Is this gonna be not safe? Oh. Okay, no one's gonna get blown up. RIP C400. By the way, this here, you see this little baggie? This is probably the amount of ammunition that Kim can give to Putin in the first place. Like, come on. How strong of a military do we think this dude has? What can he offer it? Man. Hundreds million hryvnias destroyed hundreds million dollars. Oh, what's that in rubles though? What is that in ruble value? By the way, how's ruble doing? Are they GG? Oh. Good enough. Hellish mess, and it may require decades for it to at least come to par with Europe's political assassins. It won't help. It won't help. It won't help. It's Russia's culture that is the problem, not Russia's leadership. It's their fucking people. I feel like it's the setup of the entire country. I don't even know how something like that could continue existing. It's hard, my dude. It's fucking hard. It's like it's given too much power to specific parts of the country and then not nearly enough power to all the other parts of the country. And then considering the fact that Russia is doing the thing where it's basically seeing its republics as colonies. So it's making sure the people leading the republic are people who are, you know, loyal to the regime. It feels like with this type of a system, a country really can't be staying together. It can't really be that stable. And I don't know how they're going to manage to fix that. But yeah, I don't even know if we Look, for me, it's like, my opinion is build the wall and that's it. You know what I mean? Build the wall. Kick them out of Ukraine. First, of course, get Ukraine into European Union or NATO. Some sort of absolute fucking security guarantee must be given to Ukraine. So we must sign a contract which makes sure if anything happens to Ukraine again, we will have to send militaries to go and defend. And then build the fucking wall. Make Russia pay for it. Heck yeah, get Trump here. I feel like I could fix him. I feel like what you need with Trump is like a strong conversation about like, hey sir, Russia hates your people and Russia thinks your country is shit. So listen, the best thing you could do for American patriots is make sure that Russia gets walled off from the rest of the world. That's what a proper American patriot would do. What sort of an American patriot is he, you know, bitching for little Putin boy? Dude, you're an American, you're an actual superpower. And you're here, what, bending over? For fucking Russia? Bro, most of the country shit's outdoors. Come on. So, I don't know. I feel like you could play into his narcissism rather easily and get him to build the fucking wall. 150 million on that? Oh, in Minecraft, of course. Naturally. Slovakia expelled another Russian diplomat from Bratislava. I know. Very sad. Is what I would say if I gave a shit. Grossly violated Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. How? Moscow would respond. How? How are you gonna respond, you little bitch? What you gonna do? Gonna go and invade? What you gonna do? What can you do? You can do nothing. I have to show you a link, by the way. Sarah, oh shit, Kiev's trans spokesperson vows to hunt down Russian propaganda. Do you remember the time when she posted that little photoshopped image in Belgorod and they shat their pants? That was the funniest shit ever. Just absolutely the funniest shit ever. I love it. She's doing an amazing job. Yeah, American patriots just want to get on their knees and gag on Russia. I don't know, I feel like you could fix them if you just remind them of what the patriots are. Subification. Yeah, basically subification. Basically. Oh, I have a great meme to show you, wait. Let me see this though. I have a great meme to show you.
I'm killing you. I don't care about anything else. I don't give a shit about anything else. My programming is just get that fucking guy right now. There is no like, oh, he's running? I'll back off a little. No, it's just...
To be fair, with like their spooky ass military helicopters, if USA ever tries to like hunt you down, I feel like that would be, you know, they could actually be the world police. They could actually be the world police. I know they bitch about it, okay, and I know we kind of push them into this without, you know, giving too much of a shit about how they feel about being pushed into this position. But they could actually be the world police, and I feel like it would work rather well. I had a meme that I wanted to show you though on Serbia, because someone mentioned Serbia. Now I have to find it. Russians when doing horrible things in war crime. Brag. Russians when even the tiniest noise happens. Complain, cry, call for help. Basically, yeah. Why aren't you banning Russian cars from coming to Baltics? This is going to... That's my favorite thing, when they say this is going to negatively affect Russians who are trying to escape from Russia because they oppose the war. Is it? Is it? How many of them is there? How many of them actually oppose the war? How many of them just want to escape because they don't want their ass to be the next one in the line? Come on, come on, come on, come on. We're supposed to, like, imagine some sort of a grand Russian opposition, which is being so much harmed by this law, that now, oh no, they can't go outside of Russia. This is very, very sad. Even though, by the way, they also have non-European Union borders. It kind of pisses me off that they seem to be forgetting about this regularly. They have borders with countries that are not European Union. If you wanted to leave Russia with your vehicle still in your possession, you could just maybe not go to European Union. You could just maybe go somewhere else. There are other countries existing around where you could go. I don't see the reason for all this bullshittery. I have lost my meme, and it was a good one. It was a good one. It was a good one. It was on Serbia. Gonna find it one day somewhere here in like millions of fucking memes that I have saved around. It's Balkan quality. Why are you bullying Balkan quality shit? How dare you bully Balkan quality bullshit? It is very, very cruel of you. I just wanted to let you know. Very cruel and also very evil. And also there's no heart inside of you. Oh, is this? By the way, I need to show you my links. I've saved some shit. I've saved some shit.
Necessity is the mother of invention, or father of invention, or non-binary toaster oven, Apache attack helicopter, parental figure of invention. Anyways, the person in charge of invention. You're rambling. What are you on about? The suicide paper airplanes that just ended up in Ukraine from the land down under. Right, you must be talking about those lightweight
cardboard
drones we
drones.
sent on up there. Pretty effective, eh? Right. Cheap cardboard explosive drones in Ukraine. How many targets have you damaged with those? I've only been using them for a little while. A couple fighters, a couple bombers. I did take out an S-300 with it, which is kind of cool. All right, I'm gonna have to catch my breath. Ray, please tell me that those paper airplanes cannot get past my radars. It's a possibility. What? Well, when we were designing the radar, we threw all sorts of different materials at it. How would it detect
For real, though.
titanium, aluminum, steel, even wood, because the possibility of detecting wood aircraft. And the guy who said cardboard, we fired. Why in the fuck would you fire him? That's a legitimate question. That's kind of a funny story. See, in the moment, we all had like an image of somebody in a cardboard helicopter coming at us, and we all kind of laughed at him, and now he won't answer his phone, so we're desperately trying to figure out if our radars can get returns off of cardboard. Hey Australia, we just made that deal for some F-35s and then also a couple of submarines. How about we just pack on a couple of cardboard drones on top of that, and we can call it a day? Well, I suppose that sounds fair. Cheers. Thanks, buddy.
Well, I suppose that sounds fair.
Now, Raytheon, take those, figure out what the hell's going on, because I swear to Christ, if I lose a $1 billion air defense system to the modern embodiment of the kids' air hogs, we're gonna fight.
For real though, those were amazing drones. Amazing fucking drones. Cheap little shit, and is able to destroy so much of Russians. Beautiful. Come on. Is it not beautiful? By the way, save this one. I have another one, but this one, I keep on spamming to Serbs that I know IRL. And they always get so angry. But it's the best one. It's actually true. This is, by the way, a real photo taken in Serbia. Radars can detect cardboard if the gain is dialed up, but then every bird triggers it too. Yeah, I read that too. Like, it's kind of useless at the point, because you would be just panicking all the time for everything. But fucking Australians are the masters of warfare. How great is that? In European Union, they can take their car, but in non-European Union countries, there are chances to get fucked by a local Kazakh, Georgian, you name it, gopnik, for the sake of just being Russian. See, that makes me feel like we should be importing some. We should be given visa-free access to Georgians. I feel like that would improve our security even more. Come on. On one hand, you ban Russians. On the other hand, you get as many Georgians in whenever they want to come in the country. So in case some Russians slip the cracks, in case, what's the dude's name? Osechkin? The one who was getting Russian war criminals to get apartments in France and write books. In case some of them manage to get inside the country like that, you just have Georgians around ready to, beat their ass. Ukraine is launching degree dunes. Hey, by the way, talking about this, I saved a thread. I saved a fucking thread. I have to show you my thread. Isaac, by the way, you're Italian, my dude. You're Italian. You're Italian. Did you know you have a Russian asset in your government? Not only that, did you know that the girlfriend, boyfriend, husband of the Russian asset is working in a company specializing in aerospace, defense, and security? They worked on NATO-related shit. The dude, he was working as a consultant, and then he worked in systems engineering for Italian armed forces and NATO. And then the best thing is, Italian journalists tried to ask him a few questions, and what he did is he refused to answer, and then he deleted his social media profiles. Which is not suspicious at all. Not suspicious at all. I'm kind of, part of me hopes that Meloni actually is as hawkish as she presents herself to be, and I'm hoping she just figures out how to solve this, because this is like a very dangerous fucking couple in the middle of Italy. Ruski is drawing swastikas on houses and monuments in Barcelona. Oh shit, yeah. Oh shit, I remember that. Wasn't there also a case of that one far-right politician in Germany recently doing the same shit? Yeah, that's true though. That's true. Killing each other is way better than working together and reach the stars. To be fair, I feel like working... How do I say this? Working together and reaching the stars is kind of like... You know how communists say that they are going to build society which is equal and everyone's prospering? It's like that. It's like... There's the reality, and the reality is messy. And the reality is fucked up. And then there's Dreamland. And it's good to be aware of how we could get better, but it's also good to look at the world. It's like I've been speaking to a few Croatians. By the way, I have to show you news on Croatia. This is big. We got big news coming from Croatia, but they don't really influence international relations. It's like internal relations. Let me see if there's an English language source for this, because I don't know how to say this in English. I know how to say some of these terms in English, not all of them. But we made an improvement in our laws regarding basically punishments that we give for femicide, and punishments for what's the word? Pedophilia? Shit like that. Like very, very strong new punishments for it. So I'm very, very supportive over this. Now, we haven't gotten the nukes. I'm sorry. Maybe one day. I'm hoping. We do have improved laws recently, but I've spoken to people about this. I was trying to like poke, because people who worked on passing this law are not the most popular people in Croatia. Like, the law is really, really good. Not the law, like the improvements to the existing law. The improvements are really, really good, but the people who made them happen are So there's a lot of people opposing because of this, and we have gotten the first case of Croatian prison abolitionists because of it. The first case that I have actually witnessed. It was not pleasant. It was not enjoyable to interact with these people, but their delusions kind of remind me of, you know, the whole thing with like, oh, we could just all work together. It's like that. It's like when people come up to you and they're like, oh yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't be punishing people who are criminals. Maybe instead we should be working on prevention, because prevention is going to make sure that there are no crimes happening. And then when there are no crimes happening, we will not need to have punishments for crimes in the first place, because there will be no crimes at all. It's like that. It's like, at one point, I feel like of the analysis, it's good to step out. It's good to walk among the people, maybe. Talk in the US of providing ATACMS. I've seen that. I'm hoping they're already in Ukraine. I know they are not, but whenever I see news like that, I'm like, bro, why would you reveal it so early in the process? Why would you let Russia know what sort of aid we are getting? I hope it's already there. I hope it's already there, and I hope it's already fucking them in the ass. That's what I'm hoping to see. Trying to stop all migrants to enter their country and are calling Italy bastards for refusing to keep all the ones who got here. Yeah, I feel like Italy is in a very fucky situation. Italy is in a very fucky situation because you're kind of the first country where migrants will go to. And I feel like the neighbors of Italy should be responsible for taking in a good, nice chunk of migrants coming in. I feel like they should be getting big numbers if they expect Italy to be taking big numbers. I feel like every neighbor should be taking at least as much. And then not even like every neighbor, every country in European Union itself. If a country votes against the measures to lessen the number of immigrants, so like if a country is voting to, against repatriation measures or whatever, that I know Italy was planning for a while, right? If a country votes against it, I feel like it should be having to take in a certain number of migrants. And I don't even feel like this would be too bad of a thing, to be honest. I feel like Europe could deal with this much more successfully if we were willing to cooperate. It's just that we kind of are not. We seem to be having a lot of failures about that. You're just a populist? Because theory says that harshness doesn't prevent crimes. Unavoidability does. Oh, of unavoidability of the punishment? I see that. I feel like I feel like they should be combined. Like on one hand, I see the importance of making sure that there's no chance for someone to avoid punishment. On the other hand, I'm like, I want people, especially certain criminals, I want them to be in jail as long as possible, dude. Like if there was a chance to get a lifetime sentence for violent cases of rape, I would vote to give people a lifetime sentence for violent cases of rape. No, shit like that. I feel like I would have zero will to allow some people back into society. Also, when we talk about pedophilia, for example, there should be zero chance of these people ever getting out. And I feel like it's not even just about preventing crimes from happening in the future. I feel it's also about protecting the society from this one person. Because there's a lot of situations, for example, family violence is another thing that we are currently placing stricter punishments on, and I feel it should be very, very strict. But we just recently had a situation in Bosnia where a man was beating up his woman constantly, and she did report him to the police. They went to the court. At the court, the judge looked at the case, looked at this dude beating up his wife, and the judge, a woman by the way, was like, oh yeah, it doesn't seem too serious, so we're not gonna do anything about it. And then the dude killed his wife. Like, there's some situations where I feel like if it's proven you did the crime, especially in some violent crimes, you should never be allowed to get out, because I don't think a person can be fixed. I don't feel like if you're a person who is willing to be violent towards a family member like that, I don't feel like you're a person who can be fixed. And I feel like we are saving society from you. I don't feel it's about prevention of someone else doing the crime because they fear the punishment. I fear about it's a prevention of you committing the crime again in the future. Oh yeah, basically no comeback. And also like a horribly sad thing is that most often we don't even catch them the first time they do it. Most often we don't know until the number of victims is a bit higher. So the idea that like there's any sort of a limit on the punishment, no, there should be a minimum limit, and the minimum should be like 100 years. Everyone having a gun and letting the criminals rot among the leaves prevents crimes? I don't feel like it does. I do feel, look, there's a problem for me with like the idea of citizen violence. there's a problem I have with the idea of citizens being able to, you know, shoot the criminal themselves. I don't trust the citizens. I feel like everyone should be having a chance to have a fair trial. But I feel like for some crimes, when they are proven on a trial, you should never be able to get out. Just never. My culture, beating women is okay. We had a Bosnian like that here. Unironically, we had a Bosnian like that here. He didn't beat up his woman. He killed his girlfriend. She was pregnant at the time. He stabbed her several times, and she survived the stabbing. He stabbed her in public. It was a bus stop, train stop, something like that. And he just left her there. She died because she was, you know, bleeding out too much over quite a long time and couldn't call anyone for help. And when it happened, he went to court. Of course he did. I don't even remember what sort of punishment he got, but whatever he got, it was not enough. Because I would remember if it was life, and it is not life. But his father at the time got really, really angry. And at one point he came into the court screaming that the reason why his kid is being put on trial is because he's Bosnian. Like, this is anti-Bosnian discrimination. The fact that we are trying to put a kid in jail for killing a very young girl who was pregnant with his kid. We could prevent crimes by hiring more people like that Italian lady who goes around screaming attenzione, pickpocket. Maybe that too. Crime. We should have crime pointers around, actually, though. That might help. That might help, like, the sense of shame. Police is always minutes away, and normal people are not crazy as monsters. I'm like, oh no, I'm not saying there's gonna be daily mass shooting escalations. For me, it's more like, if one time they harm an innocent person, it's too much. It's too much for me. Like, I don't think it's going to be daily mass shooting escalations, and I don't necessarily think that it would create a problem for the entirety of society. But for me, it is like, I feel like some innocents are going to suffer because of this. And I am not really up for that. In Ukraine, that's usually shelter for bastards. Some parliament member offered law to make criminal punishment for porn production and distribution harsher to protect kids. What? Corruption law that cops use to blackmail OnlyFans girls and guys who send dick pics. Well, like young people who make... Is it about minors making porn content? Is it about anyone? I have never heard of that. Think of all the children. Yeah, like that. Like Hungary. Think of all the children. We can't be talking about gay people at all. Think of all the children. We can't be teaching kids about important topics in society because think of the children, how they are growing up. Porn itself is prohibited in Ukraine? Oh. You can consume, but you can't produce and distribute. Ah, okay. I was like, bro, are you all criminals or what? How do you exist as a country? How are you not all in jail? Like the second someone starts puberty, it's like, jail time for you. I know you googled it. I know you googled it. Come on. I don't know what's porn laws in Croatia. I know we have a revenge porn law. We added a revenge porn law here, so it's a big thing for Croatia. We didn't have one at all. We didn't have revenge porn as a legal term until last year, right? But we added revenge porn in our legal law, and basically, yeah, it's illegal to send someone's nudes around without them allowing you to do so, shit like that. Like a new law. We didn't have punishment for this previously, it's a new law. So I say stuff like that, or like the French thing. Have you guys seen the French thing? I'm kind of supportive of the French thing. They had the idea that to access a porn site online, you must provide your government issued identification. So like you have to actually prove legally that you are over the age of 18. You can't just click on a little counter. You have to fucking prove, bitch. And I'm like, I feel porn is fucking up a lot of people. I'm even okay with lessening the amount of it around. Will you be streaming Sunday night? Ooh. Law project to make porn production legal. How many OnlyFans girls are you gonna be getting back then? Criminalizing queer people as sex offenders, constantly protect the laws that legalize things like marriage between 12-year-old girls. Oh shit, I remember that. It was the Christians, right? I remember that when it first happened, and I've seen a post. That's how I learned about this. I've seen a post and it was like, oh, a religious group in America wants to allow marriages between 12-year-olds and old-ass people. Guess which religion this is? Guess which religion this is? Oh, I wanted to try and test out like if I had this thing, but I don't. And yeah, it was the Christians. 80% are convicted are guys for dick pics. To be fair, I'm a hater of unsolicited dick pics, so I'm even okay with that. I assume... What's the punishment? Is punishment too bad? If the punishment is something... okay, I'm GG with that, to be honest. I'm GG with that. I'm okay with people being... Oh, year in prison? Oh, that's a bit too much. Oh, young girls? Oh no, then it's acceptable. Ooh. If you send dick pics to young girls, then oh. Wasn't aware of the pedophilic part of it. I thought you get a fine. I thought you get a fine or something. You just get record unless you violate law once again. I feel like if there's evidence like you knew or thought you were sending it to someone very young though, To be fair, when it comes to child marriage, I've seen a post recently. Anastasia! Look at this woman. She's so beautiful. I love her so much. I sent her my last $15. I'm waiting for my paycheck, and she was doing a fundraiser recently, and they were trying to gather money for some vehicle. It was posted like 2 days ago, and bro, like I'm waiting for my paycheck. I have basically no cash money in my account. So I went to look into my Twitch payouts, and I found $15 in my Twitch payouts that I haven't spent yet, and I've sent her the entirety of it. I love it so much, bro. She's doing amazing work. Have you seen how much she gets in donations? Holy shit, she's doing so many projects all the time. She's incredible. Also, I think she's amazing for doing conversations. But I also think she's amazing. She's getting like better in explaining herself. There's an actual improvement in the way she comments on the situation. She's doing so great. She's doing so great. I love this woman to death. But yeah, when it comes to child marriage, I've seen this one meme about cousin marriages and whether they are allowed on in certain countries. It was a meme, basically some American made it, and it was like, ha ha ha. Europeans always mock us for like our levels of cousin marriages, but like look at Europeans. And then the map was like, oh, in USA cousin marriages are forbidden, but like in Europe there's not really laws regarding them. you know, so no one really banned them in Europe. I think Croatia may be like one of the only countries which actually banned them fully. But you know, when you look at most European countries, they're just kind of existing. And I thought it was funny because most of the comments were like, oh yeah, if you don't have the problem happening in society, like just don't, why would you make a law for or against? Because the problem is not happening. It's like with, I guess, revenge porn, you know, it's a new thing. Sharing around other people's nudes, it's a new thing. It's not like we had an issue about that like 30 years ago. It's a new thing. And I think, you know, when it comes to people getting married very, very young, I think in some cultures you just don't have that issue that much because it's just frowned upon in the first place. You were asked for dick pics? Impressive. 16 or 17-year-old, which is weird, but I don't think it's that crazy. Yeah, that's true. I see where you're coming from. I still think they should be illegal. Like, I'm still coming from the position of they should be illegal, fully illegal. Like before the age of 18, I don't see a reason for them happening. I don't see a fucking reason for them happening. The only marriage I know which happened in this area, which happened before someone was 18 years old, was because the girl was in a relationship with a man quite a lot older than her, and then she stayed pregnant. So, you know. So I'm absolutely okay with them being fully illegal. I still think labeling them child marriage is misleading. I see that. Yeah, definitely. Like, is that a child? No, not really. But like, is it okay? No, not really. Do have no limit. 10 have a lower limit of 10. The other 14, they allow it between 12 and 16 a year. You were asked for dick pics? I was doing a thing when I was chatting with dudes during my single era where I was suffering. I used to do a thing and I would ask them for ass pics, and I would never get ass pics. Not once did I get a picture of a male's ass. You kind of reminded me of it. I was trying to do a thing with like, what if we turn it around? And yeah, never got an ass pic. How did that make that pic alone? There's there's ways. I'll just tell you that there's ways. Relatively easy ways, depending on how much of an expert you are. There's easier ways with like timer on your phone, which most people have, and then there's like harder ways of you doing certain poses. But I have never gotten an ass pic from a man, so. But yeah, wait, let me see.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we gotta. Listen, I'm gonna give you my nuclear take, okay?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay, there we go. Here we go. We can disagree on something. Nice. Okay, so do you think they should vote?
Yeah, there are older people.
Yeah.
Like how old are we speaking?
Oh, here we go. Okay. I guess we can draw a line somewhere then.
He's against old people voting? Is Thompson against old people voting? My man would fit in so nicely in Serbia, chilling with Belly. There's Belly, who saw that Serbia has an issue with the amount of pensioners. So his genius million IQ way to solve it was to propose the idea of executing all pensioners. This is Belly, by the way, this is him. Belly was amazing. Belly was so good. Serbia could have been so great if he actually became the president. When they talk about Greater Serbia, they talk about Belly. That is what they talk about. At one point, he walked in. He had a horse. There was images of him on a horse and they were going viral. He was great for it. So just type in konj. Nah, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. I can actually buy horses. I don't want to be buying horses. I want to be watching belly. Against voting in general? Nah, I'm GG with democracy. I think we're doing good. I think we're doing well. But like I'm GG with old people voting. I think they're okay. Yeah, I don't know. Seniors are commie fans? There's a question, because like there's a balance. There's a balance. Like on one hand, seniors are fucking stupid. Some of them, okay? But on one hand, seniors are fucking stupid. On the other hand, though, on the other hand, my dudes, on the other hand, they built the country, and I feel like in some way it would be okay to honor that by maybe allowing them to be making some choices. Like, but then also I do see why you would be like, why don't we just get rid of them in the first place? They built a country. Yeah, like when I think of the old-ass people here, you know, they were the ones who brought the country to the state. They built it or they fucked it. Depends. I'm coming from the unique perspective of like the country would not be here without them. So I guess, you know, from my position, it's like, they built it. They kept it standing. Grisha is live. But on the other hand, I see why you would want to get rid of them in voting to improve the situation for everyone. So even if you do a little bit of a, what's the word? Even if it seems a bit cruel, it still is creating a more positive situation for the future of the country. What's he wearing? Fair. Police Academy? Seriously, guys? Police Academy? Wait, he is in the army? How heavy? Oh no, he's not. Isn't it a bit insulting to wear all of this army gear but not actually go to fight? I mean, he is a kid. I would say the standards are a bit different if you're an infant. I would say the standards don't really count. It's different if you're a grown-ass man and you know, are doing bullshit and then not wanting to go to fight. But when you're a fucking kid, it's like, come on, where can he go to fight? He can't go anywhere. Look at me right there. It's socially disapproved. Oh, to wear military stuff, not being in military? Damn. Why not here? Like, we're okay with it here. We're GG with it here. I've got some military shit. It's because we're not currently in a war, right? Like, during the war, I imagine it would be a lot different. You can now go to festivals and you can buy those like military shirts with the patches and everything. Zolkin interview. Ooh, I want to see a Zolkin interview and they call his mom. They're like, hey, Grisha's mom, we got your son here. Would you like to say something to him? And she's gonna be like, son, you did not get caught. That is a Hollywood movie. Stop acting. Lada bear, son. We need to get her a shirt when he goes to the front line. I sent my son to fertilize the ground in Ukraine and all I got was this shirt. Mom, fuck. Cry. Try harder. Man, it's a sad thing to laugh about though. His mom really is stupid. Bro, that fucking Hollywood movie thing. Oh, it's never leaving my mind. It is never leaving my mind. Can you imagine that? Maybe that's actually a good... Okay, no, actually, no, it isn't. I wanted to say it would be a good argument as to why old people shouldn't be allowed to vote. But, like, she's not even that old. She didn't look that old. Did she look old? She didn't look old. We should be having a way to figure out how to make stupid people not vote. Like, there should be a basic understanding of reality test before you are allowed to have your vote counted. Should be like, oh, what's the shape of the earth? One question should be who rules the world, and it's a trick question. Because most of the answers you're gonna give to it are fucking wrong and you can't vote. She would start arguing and wouldn't agree to let it be posted on YouTube for 20 minutes. Are you referring to that one Zolkin interview in which exactly that thing happens? He goes like, yeah, are we allowed to post this on YouTube? And is it a dude? He's like, no. No. Mother of soldiers reported this is first war where mothers do not try to find their children. What? Oh shit. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Oh. Bro, mothers of soldiers though, that's such a sad thing that Russians gave so little shit about them back in 2000s when the Chechen war was ongoing. It feels like if they gave a shit about their own, they could have fixed the country. It's not even like you need some sort of a revolutionary spirit or whatever, you just needed to care about your own, and they never did it. You assault people to force them to do what you want to do? I don't really know if I would agree. I don't know if I would see democracy as being forced. I mean, in that sort of a case, wouldn't you say that any sort of state is forced onto people? Any sort of organization is forced onto people. Which means that the only way to not get anything forced on people would be to live in a completely stateless, unorganized society, which I also don't really think would be working. Oh yeah, but like being an ANCAP is like being a communist, prison abolitionist. When it comes to realism levels, isn't it? It's like... Works to organize POV exchange and shit. Oh. I know they had a website. That was heartbreaking to learn about. They had a website. And then on the website, they would be publishing, whenever one of them would manage to get contact with her son, she would be publishing the list of fighters who have been killed. So the other mothers could go and check if their sons are among the list. Because the government wasn't telling them anything, and they couldn't know if their sons were dead or alive, so they had to be updating each other. It loses 24 organized by state. That's true, it's like communism, isn't it? You know how people are like, oh yeah, one country could reach communism, but like it would be crumbled because the rest of the world is capitalist, and a communist country wouldn't be able to exist among them. It's like that, like, hey, you're just naturally weaker, bitch. Improve. Fucking improve. Yeah, but like it doesn't work when you change the word, because rapists are not comparable to governments. It doesn't work. It's like in that sort of a situation, you could, whenever you bring in any sort of an argument, you could just like replace any word with rapist, and you could pretend that you're making any sort of a point, but it's not really what you're doing, it's just a point made out of emotions. 99% of army men they sent here aren't needed at their homes. Okay, yeah, shit, that's true. That's true. Fair point, fair point. That's why communism can exist only worldwide. Which is why it is limited to people's imagination. Like many other systems. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I don't understand why these political ideologies exist. You know, sometimes I'm like, why? What's the point? You're never gonna reach your utopia. Why? Why not instead switch to a system in which you're like, hey, this is realistic. Like, these are the things I value, and this is a way how I could take those things and see them in our current society realistically, Why not just do that? Why do the thing where like, oh yeah, this is an imaginary world that they want, but it's something so unrealistic and so impossible it will never happen. What's the point? You know, what's the point? Theories how to live better? Yeah, but like it's never going to happen, right? It feels like it's a fun little thing to, you know, read about. Fun little thing if you're drinking with friends, fun little thing to ponder. But then it reaches the point where you're like, you're getting a bit too much into it. Why? Just like Russia's government manages to remain because of the mentality of the people, the same is with any other government. The difference between ANCAP and any other alleged anarchist movement is that we do not back the rise of an alternative government. Yeah, but like I don't see the problem with government at all in that. The problem of Russia's government is not that it remains because of the mentality of the people. The problem of Russia's government is that, you know, it is waging genocidal wars. It is not something you see other governments doing. Only simple political messages become widespread popular because populists are stupid. That's true, that's true. You could see that. What's the name of that fucking stupid USA dude who's getting kind of popular in their politics? Vivek? Holy shit.
Right. I recently saw an older episode of the Tom Woods program where Austin Peterson and Tom had a long debate on minarchy versus anarchy. I know you did a few episodes on this a while back, but breaking this down would be cool. You know, we've talked a lot of anarchy versus minarchy. I like Austin Peterson.
Yeah, but like democracy is like
a good performance.
Dating system, isn't it?
And
it's like the best thing you have.
I don't know what to say. You can go listen to that Austin Peterson, Tom Woods podcast.
What if the big organization has more guns?
Tom had his arguments resonated more with me. I guess I'll put it that way. Look, I think to me, anarchy is simply it's like if you believe in the non-aggression principle, that's where it's going to take you. No matter how you lay it out, if you want to be consistent with the non-aggression principle, it's really the only way. And I think I would just say this without getting into a whole debate about it. I would just, at least as a thought experiment with this, the minarchists are usually at a point where they're pretty damn convinced that business does everything better and behaves more ethically than government does. Okay? So just, I would just say, consider applying that to even these services that you've considered only can be provided by government. Why wouldn't business provide this better? Why wouldn't competition provide this better? Just at least consider that. That would be what I'd say. Start with the debate, and I think once you consider that, you start.
He's doing the thing where like, oh, I come from a very niche political opinion, and here is me getting prepared on how to debate another person with a very niche political opinion. And I feel like both of them would lose to a normal person. And what Ukraine is doing? No. The difference is that Ukraine has a government. Ukraine is relatively huge, has a government which has relationships with other governments, which is how you get into the field of international politics. Ukraine by itself couldn't fight off this invasion in the same way that Georgia couldn't fight off an invasion on Georgia, in the same way that Chechnya couldn't fight off an invasion on Chechnya. They couldn't fight it off themselves. Ukraine would very likely not be able to fight it off themselves. They needed help from someone outside. This is where you get, again, international politics, how governments behave with each other, which governments are allies with which countries, which governments are not, you know, shit like that. In a world without any sort of a government, you wouldn't have something like that. Like, do you think it would be organized well enough for you to be able to have allies in the first place and then get proper supply of weapons from your allies to defend yourself? Likely wouldn't. There's no government. The question is, like, if you have some sort of a non-state entity with just a bunch of guns around, but not a government, would you even be able to up your production properly? Might make sorry doesn't excuse assault. Therefore, we need a rapist because otherwise another rapist may come and oppress us. Yeah, but like it's not rapists. It's not rapists you're talking about. It's government. It's a different thing. Government is just like how you make people in a country work with each other. You just said. Like assault on an individual level can't really be compared to, you know, making a country vote. But also I'm not really sure Taliban did have to have a government once they actually got control over the state. Plus you're reaching into that very, very blurry area of like, what do you consider to be a government? Like, what do you think politics is? What do you think is a government? I don't even know enough about Vietnam to comment on that, to be completely honest, but like, what do you think is a government? Because you would need to have someone to lead your system. You would need to have people in specific positions regarding specific parts of the movement that you're having. You will be having something very similar to government. It's like how people talk about the idea of direct democracy. And whenever people talk about the idea of direct democracy, through just analyzing the idea of how it would work in a society, you're going to reach the current democracy. You're going to reach the current system. And it's like that when it comes to the idea of any sort of a bigger anarchy. Like, to be successful, you do need some type of organization. Claims the monopoly of all force, legitimate or not, and then claims the control of the people and the land they are in. That sounds very much like you're talking about totalitarianism. People band together in a collective. Call it a tribe, religion, sovereign or not state. It's a group of people who banded together since the Stone Age. The largest human organization collective usually gets to be a right. Yeah, I could see that, yeah. It's like it's semantics. It's semantics about what the government is. Successful guerrillas are usually highly hierarchical. Yeah, of course, you need some sort of organization. You can't just... Anarchy is about organization without organizations. It feels like it's... My man, I'm salty about Croatian situation currently, so prison abolitionists are the main thing on my mind right now, because they have infiltrated our society. But it's like that, it's like we need to have a system where we are basically going to be having prisons, but we're not going to use the prison word for them. We're going to be using some other word. And it feels like when you talk about, you know, organizing people in any sort of a way, or just allowing people to live any sort of a stable lives, you will need to have the idea of some sort of a government. You just don't want to call it government. You may call it something different, like you're gonna use the word council or whatever the fuck. But it's going to be the government. You need the government. So no. I kind of see it as a Western little thing. I think that's my whole problem. I see it as a Western little thing. Many terms can be changed from prison term to home arrest. Yeah, it's like, it reminds me of that one of them being like, oh yeah, people will not go to prison, like we're gonna abolish prisons, so people will not go to prison, and instead if they do a horrible crime, the society is going to hate them for it, and the society is going to force them into exile. Bro, just like make a fucking prison and put them in. That's basically the same shit. You are removing them from society. What you want to do instead? Chunk them into, like, I don't know, Switzerland or whatever the fuck, so they feel at home. That's you're basically doing a thing where you're like, yeah, just put them in prison. What's the improvement that you have given to anyone in this situation? Humans would be outcompeted by many animals alone. That's true. That's true. We are lucky that we are basically the roaches of the universe. Because apart from that, we have nothing really. We got nothing, dude. We can't survive cold, we can't survive heat, we're not really particularly strong. There's nothing that warrants us being this widespread and this long-lived. Some people always form some sort of central structure, and they will take over others through superior coordination and strength. Ooh. Oh yeah, true. If the issue is civil, they can handle it. Okay, I just saw that. Yeah, fair. Fair. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do those trials. I've seen a video of someone reenacting those. You know those trials where like a man and a woman would fight and he would be in a pit in the ground? Because like there's an advantage because he's a man, so he has to be down in the pit of death. And then they have to fight it out, and whoever wins is the one who is correct on the trial. Maybe that's what we are bringing back, I guess. Maybe that's what we are going to be doing. Hey, by the way, I have videos to show you. One of them being on the Pope. So I kind of want to go through the Pope. We kind of have to go through the Pope. But also, I have this one. Which is for NAFO fellas. Which is what you are, okay? In case you're in a similar situation as I am, and you are soon going to be getting your paycheck. I've been waiting for it since Monday. You never heard of these pit trials? I have to show you. It's not a myth, it was a real thing, but I'm gonna show it to you.
Працюємо на перемогу. Від себе можу сказати, що ще ворожа ДРГ вночі працює і ми потребуємо нічні комплекси снайперські. Вигінківки є, немає тепловізорів. Я зараз особисто збираю на тепловізор Арчер, майже половину зібрав. Якщо є змога, то буду дуже вдячний допомогти з цим. Слава Україні!
Доброго дня, мій позивний молот. Я служу в одному з спецпідрозділів. Звертаюсь до благодійного фонду 69 бригада про наступне. Ось така у нас машинка. Норм, але за 2 секунди з неї зробили решето.
Man, look at him.
Звертаюсь до вас по допомогу надати нам машину.
Man, look at him.
Ластівки прилітають, все до вас. Якось так. Якщо можна, будемо вдячні.
What a sad little thing he is. Oh no. Man, I can't wait to get my fucking paycheck. Holy shit. Hey, by the way, I found the pit thing. But yeah, go donate to Ukrainians. We need to get this over. I've noticed a lot of fundraisers recently. I don't know if they are doing a bit slower than before. I think it's because they're all waiting for a paycheck. Just like, go help. This is the pit trial. Do you not remember memes about the pit trial? It's like the dude's in the pit and then the woman's not in the pit and then they beat each other up. It says, but this is not true, by the way. It says in medieval Germany, husbands and wives could engage in a martial duel to legally resolve their disputes. Notably, the man had to fight with one arm tied behind his back while in a hole, and the woman could move freely within the arena, but she had to be wearing weighted clothing. That was the idea. It's a myth. It's not really fully true. Fake History Hunter is a great account, by the way, to follow. So he explains how it wasn't really a husband and a wife thing. It was more so a man and a woman fighting around. Oh yeah, I could have skipped over it. I see English sometimes and I just kind of skip over some words in my like actual brain. But yeah, here it is. It was actually happening, but it wasn't husband and wife. It was just like a man and a woman whenever they had some sort of a dispute, which I imagine is how we are going to be solving things without the government. And I just want to let you know that there's demonstrations of this. You missed all. I don't know how you missed the memes. It's one of those things that like pops out online every once in a while, and then people go wild over it. It's like that. But yeah, it's a funny little thing. Also, like your future in anarchy. Hey guys, don't bully the anarchists, okay? They're gonna put you into the pit. So be nice to them. You have to be nice to them. What did I want to show you, by the way? Hit Arthur video, had European Union video. Do we want to watch some European Union shit? I kind of want to raid MEP, by the way. I want to raid MEP today. I want to go there to talk about European Union. So I'm planning to maybe finish on European Union. So then when we go there, we have at least some facts in our brain, okay? So you know what's happening in European Union.
Went through Ukrainian soldiers' interviews from the Southern Front to get a more...
How would you define a natural monopoly? How would you define a natural monopoly in the first place? Wait, what do you mean? The need of assault surely isn't what makes it natural. How do you define natural? What do you think natural means? No, but like, what do you think natural means? Natural doesn't mean arising without assault. That's not what natural means. It kind of makes no sense. Like fair, but like
realistic view on the situation.
Arthur, though, you have to watch Arthur.
Most of the troops mentioned a certain Russian capability, a weapon system that they were particularly afraid of, that was in abundance and as always present, that did not and still does not have a countermeasure to it.
No, Jen, what you're talking about is like the Catholic Church, okay? Natural has to mean something else. There's just one source where good and our service can come from. There's just one source where good and or service can come from. Yeah, but like, how would you define natural then? What do you mean by a natural? I know what a monopoly is. That's what a monopoly is. That there's just one source where something comes from. You're like owning the production of something yourself. But like, what do you mean by natural? Do you think like people wouldn't be trying to claim the source of something for... No, it wouldn't be the same thing, because natural has a meaning. You can't ask people for like, hey, can you give me examples of a natural monopoly? And then what you want is just monopoly. That makes no sense. You just want examples of a monopoly if you want examples of something that is where there's just one source where a good and or service can come from. There's just a monopoly. There's just a natural monopoly. Natural carries no meaning in that sort of a word. No, but natural doesn't mean no assault. That's not what natural means. And especially because the conversation was, the specific response that you gave was to a claim that monopolies can form and seize control on their own. How did you see monopolies can form and seize control on their own? And you assumed in any sort of a way that this means no assault? They can just form on their own while assaulting. Like, there's no reason why you would remove assault from the equation. when that is being said, because the whole, the way I've understood it, the whole conversation was like, hey dude, your system is not gonna work because any sort of an unorganized society is going to be beaten by an organized one, right? In an unorganized society, a society without organizations, monopolies still will be able to be formed. And then you just went, oh, well, why would they be able to be formed without assault? Like, you're the one who took out assault out of that. No, I know you have a video for that. I don't want videos. I don't want videos. I remember your thing with videos where, like, you're always like, I have a video for that, and then you send us a video and the video is not for that. I've fallen down that trap before, my dude. I have fallen down that trap before. I still remember that one stream where you were talking about the idea of having like unorganized societies around. And it was specifically in religion. And people were pressing you on the idea that, like, what if I make my own society and, like, I make it super ultra religious and I allow people to be marrying children? Like, what you gonna do about it? You know, what you gonna do about it? And you didn't respond. You had no way to responding because you can't. Like, if you have a bunch of tiny unorganized societies without government, without any sort of control over each other or whatever, like, I could just make my society racist as shit. I could be like, if you get a baby with blue eyes, it's gonna be executed on the spot. Who's gonna do something about this? No one's gonna do something about this. And I remember people were piling on you so much for this because you would have no way in your little world. You would have no way of controlling for this without having some sort of an organization. And you were like, I have a video for this. And then we watched an entire video and it wasn't on this. Like, I'm still fucking salty with this. It wasn't on this. It was on nothing. It was like a random ass fucking video that you pulled out of your library. It had nothing to do with the topic. You had no ideas on how they would fix the situation. It's like when you get people talking about how they would fix problems within communism and they have no fucking ideas how they would fix problems within communism because they wouldn't be able to fix the problems within it. Or is that inherently a losing business? I guess it depends on which side you are on. I mean, if you're like absolutely fully superior, I guess you could like go and make a colony and benefit. If you just look at the perception from your side, right? Everyone has the right to go there themselves and use legitimate force to defend. Yeah, but like, if I make my unorganized society and we are racist as shit, and I choose to be executing people who have blue eyes, and everyone in my society is like, yeah, let's do it because they're androids and we fucking hate them, right? What you gonna do? Like, you're gonna have the right to go and attack me? Okay, we have guns too. What sort of a world did you build? Nothing. Like, how are you creating a image of the world where people give a shit about non-aggression principle? I'm just not gonna give a shit about it. I'm gonna go and be aggressive. I'm gonna do a thing that, you know, Russia is doing with international law. I'm gonna be like, nah, fuck your laws, fuck your principles. I'm gonna step all over them. There's no way to control for it. There's no way to like impose sanctions on me because there's no sanctions in the first place, because there's no proper cooperation between governments in the first place. There's no way to communicate with me to know whether you have gotten a false impression of me executing blue-eyed people because, you know, we don't have diplomacy, because we don't have organized anything, really. It's I don't know, it's like, it's one of those things where, like, imagine a world and then you play around in this little sandbox of what the world could mean. And I've never really understood the point of it at all. It's like, no, actually, I understand the point of it. No, it's the point of it. The point of it is not doing shit IRL. And that's the point of it. It's like how you look at most communists and they're just sitting on their asses and not being valuable to the world. Like, it's easy. You don't have to figure out that there's a real world where you could be really effective and where you could really do something. If you just build your little sandbox in your head and then you fight with other people with little sandboxes in their head too, and you just fight about whose idea is better. Oh, I'm an ANCAP. Oh, I'm an ANCOM. Oh, I'm a communist. Oh, we all have like this utopia that we want. None of it makes sense, but we're fighting about which utopia we want. Because if we weren't fighting about this, we would have to look around and be like, hey, wait, there's a real society here that we can really influence. So we could do something about this. It's like, I see where the position is coming from. It just feels, no, like people having big fights over Game of Thrones or whatever.
Is it? Is it a bomb? Well, no, but it is a guide.
1976 demands representation of data image / webp base 64.
Listen to him now. He's going to read every letter. What is that even? Why are you people doing those emotes? Now I'm scared to click on it. Is it just because it's long? Yeah, but it's also like, oh, my sandbox is more correct than other people's sandbox. But at the end of the day, it's a sandbox inside your head that you have built. You know, it's like your idea may be correct in a sandbox you have built in your head. I can't even go to it. It's not even a link that works. That's the saddest thing about this. Does it work from here? No. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I guess you did. I guess you did. Where the fuck is he even now? Oh, he's here somewhere. He's here. He stopped. He stopped. He stopped. There we go. That was so boomer out of you, my man. That was so boomer. Well, how old are you? Like 50? No, I'm joking. I love you. That was great. Hey, cream beach party. Cream beach party. Cream beach party. Wait, let me do this. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, cream beach party. Based.
Guidance kit mounted on a bomb, converting Russian enormous supply of dumb Fab 500 bombs into accurate modern bombs. In this video, we'll go through the Russian JDAM, or the way they call it, Унифицирование модуль планирования и коррекции, or UMPK program, and see how it has affected the battlefield.
No, it's screaming Croatian.
It has.
I choose
Although evidence of Russia using some
like,
kind of hastily fielded glide bombs during its
like
war in Ukraine started to appear
like
at the beginning of this year,
they use the
2023. For many months,
like
there was little information available about what was
like
dubbed the Russian JDAM. Now, more details have emerged about the UMPK, meaning Unified Gliding and Correction Module in Russian. While
like
hardly comparable to the JDAM in any of its parameters,
I choose the Croatian pronunciations because the English ones are
fitted
pussy.
to a general-purpose bomb continues to be widely used by the Russian
yeah, you can, but it carries the
forces
pussy,
in the
like,
ongoing
energy
conflict
with
and
it.
has become a major concern for Ukraine. Back on January 4th, 2023, the first information emerged about Russia using general-purpose bombs fitted with wing kits to attack targets in Ukraine.
Wait, was this
the development was reported on Telegram by the usually well-informed Russian fighter-bomber channel. Later, On
Was this the
February
one they
20th,
chunked on?
fighter bomber reported that production of UMPK standoff bomb kits had been ongoing for 4 months,
wrong with
and
this?
that hundreds of UMPK bombs had already been dropped. The first official statement from the Ukrainian side appeared
was the
on
Belgorod
April
one, yeah.
4th, 2023, when Yuri Ignat, a Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson, said
Can't wait
that
for
the
him to
Russians
go,
were
yeah, and then they
dropping up
chunked
to
it in
20
Belgorod.
gliding bombs a day. Ignat continued. They launched them from Su-35 Flanker and Su-34 fullback aircraft, which do not enter our air defense zone. Since then, there have been repeated statements from Ukrainian officials reflecting on the difficulty of intercepting these weapons, which have been described
Croatian
as
way used to say
almost
pussy are very ugly.
impossible to shoot down.
So usually
Russia
we just
officially
avoid saying it,
confirmed
to
the
be honest.
usage of such bombs in May 8th, 2023, in a report that stated that a Su-34 fighter bomber with UMPK module bombs struck a location of foreign mercenaries near the village of Ivanovka near Kharkiv. The wing kits allow for Russian aircraft to launch indirect attacks on targets that would otherwise put them at too great of a risk to do so directly due to Ukraine's ever-evolving anti-aircraft defenses. Otherwise, much more expansive and complex standoff weaponry would need to be used. And Russia's limited supply of these weapons has been put under extreme pressure by the prolonged war efforts. The idea of a low-cost kit converting a dumb bomb into a guided munition is an old one. In the United States, such work began in the early 1990s and eventually resulted in the Joint Direct Attack Munition, or JDAM program. JDAM also now includes an extended range version with additional wings, which has been supplied by the United States to Ukraine. Russia presented its equivalent of the JDAM for the first time at the Farnborough Air Show in England in 2002. At that time, the Basalt company proposed 4 types of MPK modules for the Fab 500 M62 bomb, with gradually increasing capabilities and prices. GNPP Basalt in Moscow is a leading company developing general-purpose bomb ordnance kits in Russia. The simplest MPK variant was based on an unfolding wing with a span of up to 6.5 feet. The bomb was stabilized aerodynamically and had no guidance. The aim was to extend the range. Using the wing, the bomb was supposed to reach a distance of 4 to 5 miles when dropped from a low altitude of 164 to 328 feet. In the second
That's a
variant,
lot
the
of
bomb
numbers.
was to additionally receive a simple inertial navigation system, enabling sufficient accuracy for the range of 7.5 to 9.3 miles from
Like,
the
see,
target.
he goes
In the
into
third
numbers, and I'm
variant,
just
then
like-
the inertial navigation system would be supplemented by satellite navigation receiver for further correction, enabling an accuracy of 33
You know, like cats,
feet when dropped from a distance
when you
of
look at them
25 to
sometimes and
37
they're just like,
miles from
you
high
see there's no
altitude.
light
In the last
inside.
and most advanced variant, a pulse jet engine was to be fitted, extending the range to 50 to 62 miles. Before I go on with the Russian UMPK program, I want to explain how the added range to a dumb bomb in theory benefited the Russian war effort in Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense capacity on the front is mostly
theory?
consisting of man-pads or shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles with a range of 3 to 4 miles. During the first year of war, Russia used a lot of helicopters for attack missions over the front lines and therefore lost a lot of helicopters to Ukrainian man-pads. After deploying their UMPK kits into Ukraine, Russian fighter bomber plane losses have decreased significantly, since the bombs are released 10, 20, even 30 miles before the front, making it impossible for Ukrainian man-pads to hit the plane. This is what makes these bombs so dangerous for Ukrainians. There is simply not much Ukrainian units can do against them, since moving long-range air defense system to the front is out of the question. Ukraine cannot risk losing them. Now back to the
True.
Russian JDAM program. For several more years, Russia presented the MPK module at the international exhibitions. The project was reworked fairly significantly several times, but it was never put into production. In fact, it is not known whether the MPK module went beyond the general design phase at all at that time. All that was shown were drawings and models. Why did Russia not complete the Basalt MPK project back then? There are probably 2 reasons. First,
Corruption.
it seems Russia never never expected to be involved in a sustained war in which it would need weaponry in very large quantities and therefore at low cost. Secondly, it is probably that no one in Russia was interested in making cheap kits if they could earn more money by offering expensive new guided bombs. Basalt's proposals were created on the principle, if America has something, we must demonstrate it too. The most serious technical shortcoming with the Russian UMPK kits is that in contrast with the United States aerial bombs, Russian general-purpose bombs are wielded monoliths. It is impossible to remove the tail section and replace it with a guidance unit. I feel like the fact he is
anti-Semitic makes me already hate him. So yeah, I don't feel like I need to learn more about him.
The Russian module can be fitted to the bomb directly by the operating unit and not necessarily in a repair or production facility like with the JDAM. There are only a few illustrations showing the Fab 500M62 bombs with a UMPK module in its entirety, including a video of 2 bombs being dropped by a Su-34 fighter bomber. More prevalent are the photos of bomb debris that fell
no, but like that's why they're not going to be using a nuke for sure,
in Russia and in Ukraine. In the official multimedia provided by the Russian Ministry of Defense, UMPK modules have still not been shown even once. From the available illustrations, it can be seen that the UMPK is a makeshift device made hastily and quickly thrown into combat without carrying out the full requested tests. It is not known what company makes the current UMPK modules, but it's unlikely that it's the GNPP Basalt company that designed the similar modules 20 years ago, or the GNPP region company that makes all the Russian aerial guided bombs.
Shit, American says that you should remember how many feet there are in a mile.
Conducted anonymously by an employee
I need to know that shit.
Who deals professionally
refuse
with
to know
similar
that
topics,
shit.
suggests poor performance
refuse to learn
and
about
high
the measurements.
failure rate. The same source indicates that after attaching the UMPK module, the weight of the Fab 500
like when people go, how
bomb
many centimeters are there in an inch or
the
something?
load
I don't
capacity
care.
of the most common Russian
I don't
weapon
care. I don't
installation
know.
hardpoints
I don't want to
on
know.
planes, which is usually 500
I Google it every single time.
1,102 pounds. This may cause the bomb to detach during maneuvering. The wing is open after the bomb is dropped by a spring hooked to the locking mechanism. The wing opening
It's
mechanism
750.
is unreliable, and the fact
I wanted
that the wing
to
is
do
not
the
brought
raid
into
on
the flight
MEP
position
around
is a
8. I don't know how long
standard
he
occurrence for this
streams.
product. Another disadvantage of the UMPK
I'm just waiting
is
for
that
him
the
to be like,
bomb's
oh yeah, they
fuse is
chunked it on
switched to
Belgorod.
ready as in an ordinary bomb at the moment of separation from the aircraft. In other wing bombs, the fuse is activated later during the glide. This means that if the wing does not open, the bomb can fall and explode, including in Russia or Russian-occupied territory. This is what the people of Belgorod faced on April 20, according to the same source. The wing's aerodynamic characteristics
thank you,
and the
Arthur.
actual flight
This
range
made me
achieved
happy.
by the Fab 500 bomb with the UMPK module is much smaller than has been assessed on social media, where the range is said to be up to 44 miles. Similar to the JDAM
It's raining.
This is why some
The
Russian
weather is
planes
much
are still
cooler.
flying too close to the front to release
He's
their
talking
UMPK
about Russian
Fab
glide
500s,
bombs.
because the range of the bomb is
But
known
he's
to be
doing
shorter,
he's
putting the pilot in harm's way.
using a lot of very, very smart words, and to be honest, I just wanted him to clown on Belgorod. My plan was like, let's watch Arthur making fun of Belgorod getting blown the fuck up, but he's actually getting really, really technical, which is very, very interesting. I have learned a lot new shit from this. It just, bro, it's too much information, and I'm very stupid. Cab, which is big and guided. Fab is just terror bombs like usual. Oh. To memorize 5,280 feet and 1,670 yards per yards. Oh shit, they use yards too. I always hate it when they say what's their temperature measuring system? Fahrenheit. I hate it when they say that their stupid system is better than ours because it's more intuitive. What do you mean more intuitive? Shut the fuck up. Like we're perfect. What do you mean? Our system is doing so great. Why the fuck would it be more intuitive to use your shit system, USA, you fake little country? You just started existing like 5 minutes ago, and now you're like, oh, we actually have this superior system of measuring. Like pirates. Is it more difficult to do math with the wacky systems? I see. That's a good question now. I guess? Like we had to do calculations in elementary school when you were like, oh yeah, a walk to your house is 4 kilometers. How many meters is that? But like, it's quite easy here. It's not really easy in USA, where you're like, how a walk to your house is 4 miles. How many feet is that? And then you actually have to do proper calculation. One plus one. Wait, isn't it just that? Oh fuck! I don't understand that. I've never understood that. I remember. Who was it? Was it Dawkins? I think, who had a passage in his book. I need to read his book again. Or was it Sagan? There was a passage in his book, like how humans could have developed computers much earlier if we had 8 fingers on our hands instead of having 10 of them. And I was always trying to understand, like, how the fuck does he understand the systems, base systems, enough to know what the fuck he's talking about. You take 1 meter and subtract 1 middle-sized donkey's ear, and then you add 1 hamster length. I'm pretty sure if I Google how many donkey's ears per feet, I would actually get a result, because it's probably one actual measurement that like Americans use. They think, how funny would it be if they had like different measurements in different states? I feel they should start to do that. Like each country, each state has a different one, and then you not only need to know like their stupid wacky measurements to put them on into each other, but also when you're in a different state, the measurements are all different. That would be so funny. That would be so funny. I'm gonna spend too much time thinking about the wackiness of the system instead of spending that cognitive power on the question itself. Wait, that's 1, 2, what? When you get past 9, it returns to 0 and the value goes up 1 number next. In base 2, it's from 1 to 16. Base 16 is fucked. Oh shit, I need some idiot video. I need, you know what I need? You know what I need? I need my browser to Reddit. I can't open Reddit on stream. Holy shit, you never know what you're gonna see on Reddit. You never know what you're gonna see on Reddit. No. I need Reddit here, but like, so you can't see if something wacky pops out. And then I need to go and I need to find... Oh, I'm getting Elon Musk. Explain. I should ask AI. I should ask ChatGPT, like Thompson does it. Explain Lacan 5, and then I need to input base 10 in the search. Right, actually, though, let me just open this subreddit for you. They're talking about USA. One of the last threads was in USA. Maternal mortality has risen in USA since 2000. How do gamers figure out long cheat codes? Who the fuck knows? Why do we produce hot air when we say ha, but we produce cold air when we say who? Okay, fair. Base 10. Okay, why would base 12 make maths easier than base 10? It's called Explain Lacan 5, and he gives an explanation. I don't understand it. Actual math that mathematicians and physicists do would be entirely unaffected. The base you are using in a number system is wholly irrelevant to the logic and operations that you are using. For the average day person, some things might be easier because 12 has more fractions that reduce to a whole number than 10 does. But that's a very minor benefit. Okay. Mathematics? You gotta learn mathematics, my dears. You gotta learn mathematics, okay? This is how you calculate who to vote for. Mental math would be quicker and the numeric representations are shorter. Items like division or multiplication, like 33% of sales or 25% of sales, would be easier to understand the true value of mentally. Calculations with circles, as they are 360 degrees, would be cleaner. Imperial units will make more sense. Oh no, this is an American. Oh, disgusting. Operations and complexity of operations would still be the same. Does it matter what kind of symbol is used to represent 5 and 8 to get to the result that the addition makes 13? Higher order mathematics is not that much rooted in what we use to represent numbers. It's more about operations working on other operations and combining them to more complex operations. Okay. Five-year-olds understand word irrelevant. And man, look, it's American 5-year-olds. Okay, they are superior. How do number systems that aren't based on work? Okay. You have 0 to 9 as your first group, and then once you go to 10, you start your second group. Your second group is then 19. 20 starts the next group. If you had a base 6 system, you would have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And then base 2 system is 0, 1, 10, 11, 100, 101. Okay. And then base 16. Uh-huh. Okay. 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 They're using, I feel like the idea of using letters makes quite a lot of sense. So it's just about when you go to a new group. When you go to a new group. And then mentally, if you were used to a system like that, it makes sense, because like mentally when you would be dividing in half, you would be dividing in half with this, right? I see that, I see that, I see that. Reddit scientists. They're not even the scientists. That's kind of why I like the subreddit. Most of them are just fucking lost. There's also the one, I don't know what's the subreddit called. Out of the Loop, I think it's called. And it's good if you're like very lost in life. I like using this one and I like using that one. Because people will ask about like, hey, what's going on? Like what's happening? I just saw this on the news. Can someone explain? And then people go and they explain. And usually, because it's Reddit, what you do is you don't trust people on Reddit, because they are Redditors. So what you do is you read a few comments and you get a general idea of a thing, but it still informs you broadly of what's going on. I like this one. I think this one was the first like time where I actually understood why do Saturn rings stay there and not just crash into the planet. A Vietnam War, very simplified. But stuff like this is very, very interesting to me, right? Because it's easy to understand complex topics in very simple terms, and then you know where to start additional research. Because if you don't have the beginning, you don't really know how to start additional research on anything. Holy shit, he goes, Vietnam War, very simplified, and the answer is this. Ukraine. Oh no, they actually do have stuff on Ukraine. Okay. 10 years ago, 9 years... 10 years ago, someone asked why are people protesting in Ukraine. Why did Ukraine pretty much hand over Crimea to Russia without defending their own land? 10 years ago. 3, 10, 8. What do we have which is like fresher? Oh, 17 days ago. How do air defense tell friend from foe? Middle East, 6, 8, 8, 9, 7, 3, 9, 5, 10. Ah, they're all like quite old. They're all quite oldish. Air defense don't? They don't? Okay, wait. It's a password, he says. Air defense artillery sends out a question code to the aircraft. The aircraft receives the question code and sends back an answer code. The ADA has a list of codes that are okay to get back. If the code that the aircraft sends back isn't on that okay list, it is not marked as friendly. I'm biggest because I'm not 100% sure how ADA distinguishes between marking something as unknown versus hostile. Ah, okay. I mean, if you have like a list of okay stuff, I guess you have a list of not okay stuff, definitely. Kill it. Most civilian aircraft that aren't going anywhere near combat zones have transponders that go through the air screaming, "I'm a civilian, don't shoot me!" So ADA knows to ignore them. Countries that try to hide their warplanes by having them use civilian frequencies are committing war crimes. Okay. Okay. Past year. This code changes daily. Every pilot gets a card. Oh. Current state of exams are not good enough to test someone's skills in STEM. I mean, CS and everyone who actually spends time programming fails the exam because they don't care about the nitty-gritty, while people who don't even go to class get by. Mostly because our exams measure the unnecessary. Oh. I feel like that's the... Okay, wait, I don't know how realistic of a view I have about this. Because it's kind of based on like... I have a schoolmate, he went to art school with me. And then he studied basically programming shit. He like switched fully. We have recently had contact with few classmates, kind of classmates, doesn't matter too much. But basically he went to programming, he tried to study programming and he dropped out. He didn't feel like doing it anymore, he dropped out just like in the middle of studying. And from the little bit of knowledge that he has gotten, he has learned how to do it properly. And he is actually earning a nice sum of money working as a freelancer, programming shit. He just gets like tiny projects and he's doing amazing. He's updating some websites or whatever. I don't fucking know. I don't really understand the shit too much, right? But he's very great and he's up to date on all the newer shit. And we kind of had a talk because I had a similar experience with European Union projects, right? I feel a lot of that like unnecessary shit is like extra suffering you do to get the degree, to like get the confirmation that you know this. But like that's about as much as it's worth, right? If you're actually going to try to do a job related in any sort of a way, most of the shit is not going to matter too much. Like my friend, he has better skills and he has way more knowledge than some of the people that he met on college who have absolutely finished it properly and who have the degrees now, you know? But he didn't have to learn the unnecessary shit. They had to learn the unnecessary shit. But he is the one who doesn't have a degree. So it's, you know, like that. It's kind of... I do feel like their exams are a bit of a failure, but I don't really know how we could improve that. Oh yeah, I know you don't go to study to be a programmer. I know a programmer, dude. I don't really know computer science people. Like Cringelord is the only one I know. Accounting, yeah, like that. Or like when I went to the European Union projects job, there was a man who was studying with us at the project. And his brother wanted to start studying with us to get the degree. And then he didn't feel like doing it. So, like, he never showed up to a single class ever. And I remember the teacher being like, hey, why did your brother drop out? And the dude goes, oh, he's just doing this on his own. He figured that he doesn't need to learn all of this extra shit. Because, like, he's already working on European Union projects. He already has experience. He knows how to write them. He knows what the new laws are, what the new regulations are. He doesn't need this. He wanted to get a degree, but then he figured out that it's going to be quite a lot of learning. So he was like, nah, fuck this. And then, you know, I'm gonna get the degree, but like, with my degree, while I do have the paper to prove that I studied this, I don't have nearly the same amount of knowledge nor experience that he does. And it does kind of speak about, I think, the failure of the exams, the fact that if there's a job position opened, I'm going to be the one who is going to be able to apply because I will have the degree. He will not be able to apply because he does not have the degree, despite the fact that he could be much more useful at the workspace than I could. So there is, you know, there is some failure in the system. But yeah, I don't know what computer science people study. It's just very, very smart. It's just very, very, very smart. That's what I know. Why do countries not formally declare war anymore? Oh, a legal war has to meet certain conditions. If those conditions are not met, then there are some international sanctions that can be applied. A formal declaration of war against a country can trigger all sorts of mutual aid agreements, causing war on a global scale. I see that, I see that, I see that. Missing Chinese nuke sub? Holy shit, no, what the fuck? Oh, you have a license? Putin goes, da. The source of the license is me.
This video is brought to you by Brilliant.
Grisha's mom told me I am allowed.
Last month, President
By the way,
of
European
Council,
Union video,
Charles
and then we
Michel,
go to
delivered a
MEP,
speech
okay?
in which he called for the European Union to expand and take in new members by 2030, calling it ambitious but necessary. With countries from the Balkans to Eastern Europe to the Caucasus seeking to join the EU, the bloc could, in theory, grow from its current membership of 27 to 36. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought membership of 27 to 36.
Georgia! Keep on hitting. Georgia!
Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought renewed...
By the way! You remember that one stupid ass fucking video we watched? Do I put past week on this? Yeah. There was this one stupid video we watched, which was on like how we can't accept new countries into European Union Parliament, because if we accept new countries into the European Union Parliament, the number of seats isn't going to fit. Do you remember the video? I think it was the same dudes who made this one. Because I remember we were making jokes about like how big is the room where the European Parliament is. Like, can they just not bring more chairs in? What's the problem? And they just like fucking changed the number of seats. They just added more seats. It's like all of the time, I guess it wasn't a problem at all when it comes to the seats. For like a week, whenever people would be commenting on this on the Twitter or whatever, they would be like, oh yeah, well, how are we going to be distributing the seats then? How are we going to distribute the seats? And all of the time I was going through the, you know, illusion that the number of seats is somehow fixed. No, they just like added 15 seats. Just like that, just went, yeah, let's do this. The number of seats doesn't matter. It's just such a stupid thing. What was the drama? What was the drama then all about? Standing area like a foot. Like in K-pop concerts, if you are the top fan, you get the position in the middle, and then if you are not, you get the position on the side where the losers go. I knew my K-pop proficiency would work on this.
Focus on EU enlargement after a decade of little progress. So in this video, we're going to have a look at the aspiring EU member states. Why
If he
things have
mentions
been
the
so
number of
slow
seats,
up
I'm gonna
until
cry.
now, why attitudes have now changed, and whether the new
The
attitudes will
toilet is already
actually
long
result
enough.
in new members anytime soon.
Just add one more toilet. No, we can't. We must have like...
Let's first look at the
10th
countries
floor,
seeking
whatever.
to become EU members. First, we've got the group referred to as the Western Balkans, comprising Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia and Serbia. Plans to integrate Western Balkan countries into the EU date back to a summit in 2003, at which EU member states confirmed that the future of the Balkans is within the European Union.
Are you?
The other group hoping to join is known as the
Serbia. Association trio is based, but like my man with Serbia in South African style political mosh pit. Oh shit, yeah. If you don't vote for a month, we make you fight in a cage. Politicians who have given the most votes in the last month, they're the ones allowed to be close to the cage, so they could be, you know, watching from a very up close. And then the losers, they go sit in the back and you can't see the action. Oh yeah, true. We put one of them in a pit. We put one of them in a pit. Like those husband-wife trials. UK just left. They fitted easily as well. Shit, yeah, that's
Association trio, comprising Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia. These three submitted formal applications for EU membership shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine early last year. The EU has granted candidate status to Ukraine and Moldova, while Georgia is a potential candidate. So, with multiple countries, particularly in the Western Balkans, waiting well over a decade to join the EU, why have things been so slow? For starters, EU accession is a long and pretty complicated process.
True.
A country first has to meet the criteria to be granted candidate status.
Could confirm this.
Then existing EU members have to unanimously agree to open formal negotiations based on an agreed framework. Then, over the course of the negotiations, the candidate country has to bring their administrative and institutional infrastructure up to EU standards in areas including justice, security, agriculture, taxation,
I don't know, it's like the emotional connection to the country. I feel so bad for it.
Significant reforms required by the potential members has made the
it's
process
guilt.
slow, as have numerous disputes that need or needed solving before entry.
Europeans
North
fucked up
Macedonia, for
Georgia, and we should be responsible for allowing it to have normal life
in 2019 and resolved a separate dispute with Bulgaria
Turkey
in 2022. These disputes have also stalled Albania's accession, as its candidacy is tied to North Macedonia's.
Like you wanted,
Meanwhile,
and then it was like
path towards joining the EU has also been difficult, given the fact that 5 EU members, including Spain, Greece and Romania, do not recognise Kosovo's independence. But there are other reasons for this painfully slow progress too. There's also been a notable lack of appetite for growth among the EU's
and the French flag is a
existing member
remixed
states for a few
Croatian flag.
reasons.
Fun fact.
2004's big eastward expansion brought in the likes of Poland and Hungary, who in recent years have fallen foul of the EU standards on democracy and
he made the
rule
first
of law,
promise of future
meaning
membership
some
public.
states, especially in Western Europe, are therefore reluctant to let in new members.
I think NATO had a good
However,
chance
Russia's
to protect
invasion of Ukraine in
both Georgia and
February
Ukraine, and it didn't, and I'm
has
just salty
forced
over it.
EU enlargement back on the agenda, as expansion is
I'm
no
just
longer
fucking
just
salty.
a political question, but has become a moral
Like, I see the
imperative
reason
for the EU.
for
Austrian Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg summed it up by saying, enlargement is not a bureaucratic
claims
endeavour.
of
It's
them
about
being able to
exporting
join.
and safeguarding a
Which also, in a way,
certain
was
model of
stupid,
life
though. In a way, it was
free,
stupid.
open Western
But also,
democracies. There's a growing view within the EU that leaving potential
I really
members
think we
like
should have allowed them in
Serbia
NATO.
languishing in the waiting room for so long makes them prime targets and fertile ground for Russian influence. But even with this apparent renewal...
By the way, to Serbia was bending off for Russians previously. This didn't become a target because of this European Union bullshit, okay? Serbs would have never agreed to join European Union if they had to fix anything about their dumbassery as a nation. Expansion? Yeah, I'm like half-half. Like, European Union expansion, NATO expansion. Like, it's technically expanding, but like, it carries a certain meaning with it. And then I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's like when people say Russian opposition, and I don't like that. When people say, hey, Navalny team is Russian opposition, and I'm like, no. Competition? Could say that. Competition to Putin. Could say that. Call them opposition. That carries a meaning. That carries a meaning, and the meaning isn't what I see there. Expansionism is associated with imperialism. Yeah, it's like did it technically expand? Yeah, but there's a connotation behind this. I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan of it.
Enthusiasm for enlargement,
Hassan,
there is
shit.
still the question of a timeline. European
I don't
Council
even know
President
enough about
Charles
Taiwan
Michel
history, I
said
think,
recently that
to
the
be
goal
able to
should be
mock
to
him.
enlarge the bloc by 2030.
He's braver than me. I would
However,
not
this
dare
was
to go
quickly
into
talked down
a
by the
topic
European
without
Commission,
knowing shit.
which said they were not focused on a date, but focused on working very closely with candidate countries to get ready for joining the European Union. In other words, enlargement remains
Albania
merit-based,
DLC.
and candidates are ready when they are ready.
Get
Similarly,
the
the
Serbia
EU has
DLC.
rebuffed Ukraine's request for a fast-track succession process,
Beach
with
coasty.
Emmanuel Macron, Mark Rutte and others
Bonus.
stating their opposition to such an idea, while still keeping the door open to eventual membership. Amid this internal EU debate on
I
how
have
to
to show you a
best
video.
approach future enlargement, the coming months will be crucial.
Enlargement.
In October, the
He
European
said
Commission
enlargement.
is
Is that
set to
a
release
better word
its
than
annual
expansion?
progress report on
Enlargement.
aspiring members, and the Commission will come forward with substantial
doesn't sound so
proposals,
violent.
according to the Enlargement Commissioner. In December, EU leaders will meet for the last EU Council summit of the season, where enlargement will be a key debate and a decision will likely be made on whether to officially kickstart accession negotiations with Ukraine. But for all the talk of the need for applicant countries to reform, the reality is that the EU needs to undergo significant reform too. The EU in its current reform is not
I feel like
designed
it would
to
be
have
correct
30
to call it
something member
enlargement
states,
then.
and the bloc itself knows
And then when a
this.
country
It's hard
loses,
enough getting
when an alliance
27
loses
individual
members, you
states
call
to
it
agree on
circumcision.
something, let alone as many as 36, as the European Council requires unanimity in a number of key
Hey guys,
policy
see,
areas.
Esther just got
As such, a
castrated.
group of EU countries, including big players like France, Germany, Spain, Italy and others, are pushing for a shift to qualified majority voting in order to speed up decision-making and prevent individual countries
Supportive
holding policies
based.
hostage, as, for example, Hungary has done
Poland.
in relation to Russian sanctions. Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz have made clear that they think EU reform must come before enlargement, something echoed last month by Council President Charles Michel, who said not reforming on our side before the next enlargement would be a fundamental mistake.
Reform faster then.
As Michel points out, bringing in new members will affect the EU's policies, programmes and budgets. Significant funds will be needed to help close the development gap between new and existing
True.
members, meaning several current net
If your
recipients
parliament
of the
is
EU budget
enlarged
will become net
for more than
contributors.
4 hours, call the
One of the
doctor.
things that will definitely need reforming if Ukraine is to join the EU is the bloc's common agricultural policy, as Ukraine is one of the world's major agricultural producers and would become one of the greatest recipients of CAP funds.
That's fucking good.
The suspension of EU tariffs on imports from Ukraine has already caused political fights in Europe, as 5 of Ukraine's EU neighbours say their farmers are being undercut by an influx of Ukrainian grain. Other reform
Sucks
questions
to be
need
you.
answering too if the 9 countries are to join the bloc. Will the European Parliament grow even bigger, or will existing seats be redistributed? Will the EU budget need to increase? By how much? And with what money? Will accession happen in the same way as before, or could accession and integration
just stop
of
giving
new
money to
members
Hungary,
be done
and I feel
through a
like you already
multi-speed
have,
approach,
you know,
as suggested by some?
so the part of the
Anyway, to
money
wrap things
issue.
up, it's taken many years and an invasion of a European neighbour for the EU to make enlargement a serious priority.
True.
But despite the renewed focus and positive signalling, many see a 2030 timeline as more far-fetched than ambitious. Not just because the countries in question still have to meet the EU's criteria for entry, but also because the EU itself has to have some big conversations on whether and how to reform itself before letting new members in. Nevertheless, the coming months
Maybe
will
in
prove
pieces.
crucial to the enlargement
Balkanization
process,
of
and the
UK
outcomes
incoming.
of upcoming meetings and summits will be closely watched. Now, you just spent around 8 minutes watching a
That would be
video to
fucking
help you
great to
learn
see.
about the world around you, and that feels good, right? Well,
No.
that's the feeling you get from spending time...
It sucks. It sucks. I hate learning. It pains me. It physically puts me in pain. Little ad lover, little ad little boy, little ad dude. By the way, we're gonna rate MEP. Okay, we really have to rate MEP. Oh shit, no. Which one is it? Hey, I'm kind of salty about no fuckers. Did you watch the video? Is it a good video? We could watch it tomorrow.
Because of course they did. The
Um,
left wanted something on enforcement.
I'm just salty about the fuckers. I'm really salty about him.
Where was I?
Why all of Eastern Europe looks the same? He's not helping my feelings of saltiness. He's not helping.
That ethics and integrity standards won't be a major issue.
My man, he's not helping. He's not helping at all. Bro, this is ever since we watched that video, which was like, oh, my opinions on Russia. I can't take him seriously. I legit can't take him. No, it's not even just that I can't take him seriously. It's like I get personally offended when I remember he exists in the state that he exists in. There's like people inside fucking Russia with more integrity than him, who is outside of Russia. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. In the middle of a fucking war, to do a video on how you feel about Russia, and not once to be like, hey, maybe we have some issues with our culture, maybe there's some issues with our imperialism. Maybe I should mention for a second that I feel bad about the fact that we are killing Ukrainians. Maybe, just maybe, just like as a little side note, maybe. No. The entire video is just like, oh yeah, people in Russia have to shit outdoors and they didn't want to see this war happen. It's, I don't know, reminds me of that one Navalny person, was it Volkov? He made some stupid ass claim. It was basically like saying that Putin regime has invaded Russia. He said that Ukraine is now fighting against Russian invasion, and like Russians were previously the victims of Russian invasion, which was when Putin's regime invaded Russia. And like just the act of taking away your responsibility, taking away your countryman's responsibility. Because I hoped, there were several times in that video where I hoped he would say, you know, okay, the regime is supported by Moscows. The regime is supported by St. Petersburg. Because we know it is. But you expect him to say it. You expect him to be like, okay, here I am talking about the fact that many Russians have to shit outdoors, and they get no paychecks, and they get no pensions, and they live in horrible conditions. Here I'm going to acknowledge this is happening in big part because of Moscow, right? It's like the least you could be expecting. And he doesn't even do that. The whole video is zero responsibility and also zero fucks given. I don't know. Got me really, really salty over him. I saw one of his videos recently in my recommended too. The one he made before this one. I haven't seen this one in recommended at all. I didn't watch it. It's like, you know, when we talked about their sport people, for example. And I still hold strong the idea that every single Russian with any sort of presence online or IRL or at any sort of international events, every single one of them must always be made aware of the fact they are representing a genocidal state. At any single fucking point, right? Like Navalny team drinking champagnes in pretty dresses, that would not happen if they were aware they are representing a genocidal fucking state. Roman doing a video in which he is complaining about the state of Russia while pretending that there's no responsibility in Russian people and that they didn't want all of this, that would not happen if he was aware that he is representing a genocidal state. And he just, it's like he forgets about it. I don't know. Gets me fucking angry. But we are doing a raid now. So ask MEP about European Union. He knows a lot about it. He's very, very educated on this. So he has worked as the assistant on European Parliament. So very, very cool person. Very, very cool person. Okay, you gotta know what's happening in European Union because the elections are incoming and you have to vote smart on the elections so we don't get another Claire Daly in the European Parliament. Raid in 3 seconds. See you tomorrow. Love ya.